5 seconds early. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. Thanks for being here. We got a bunch of people in already. I've got Echo out. We're starting with Echo. We're going to see what happens with her shenanigans. I have a special guest in the green room right now. We're going to bring him in a second. Those of you who thought it was Amy, you're wrong. It's a him. Let's see, what should I talk about real quick before we do that? I'm going to try to keep Echo from escaping, but she's very long, and she can reach things. She almost escaped just then. Can you guys hear me pretty good? Oh, good. Thanks, Michael, saying that sounds pretty good. Great. Look at all these people that are in. A lot of people are in who went on the herping extravaganza to Joshua Tree National Park with me on Friday and Saturday last. That was super fun. Let's talk about that real quick. So we did. I'm gonna do a video. There's gonna be a video that'll come out. You guys get the inside scoop. Those of you who are here for this live stream. I'm gonna put a video out in a couple months. That's gonna be just my herping summer, assuming that there's enough. I think there will be enough material for it because I took a group of the Horde of Keepers over on Patreon. I took a group of them out to Joshua Tree National Park last weekend, and we went herping and found some stuff. It was great. And then I'm going herping with Amy in Utah this weekend, and I expect to find some stuff. Here, look at this. Look at this. So here's what we did. I had people meet me out on Friday. We're going to be doing some more of these on Patreon, by the way. So I had some people meet me Friday, and we stayed in this Airbnb. And then we went out into the desert the next day. We went out at night that night, but didn't find anything. Went out into the desert, found some cool stuff. That's a little leopard lizard. There he is, hanging out on me. Look at that guy. So cool. And then Saturday night, we went and had dinner at a little honky-tonk bar, and man, it was fun. It was a good time. So I'm going to try to do that in different parts of the country to try to get Patreon supporters local to those areas to come out and go herping with me. And we decided that anybody, so the people that are on Patreon are known as the Horde of Keepers. Anybody who goes herping with me is part of the Horde of Herpers. You don't get anything special other than you get to go herping, and you get to then be a part of this exclusive, very highly exclusive group, the Horde of Herpers. But we had a blast. I think we had a total between Friday and Saturday, people coming in and out of like 15 or 17 people. It was great fun. It was great fun. All right. Hang on, I'm going to scroll down. Oh my gosh, Lori, you're already in with a super chat. Thanks, Lori. You're the best. Wish I could be on here on Thursday night. Super chat from Marie, Bendy, and Darwin. Oh my gosh. Lori just pops in to throw me a $49.99 super chat. You're so sweet, Lori. You're the best. Look at all these folks. Okay. All right. Thanks so much for being here, you guys. As always, I'm not going to see most of the comments until I look at this live stream later, and then I can't respond to the chat comments. So if you want me to see your chat and respond to it, go ahead and super chat it, and I will see it. Now, Amy's not here to text me or whatever when when a super chat comes up and I miss it, because as we all know, I miss them sometimes. But what we do have is Spencer Lambus from the Royals Project. Spencer, come sit down right here. He's here not only to help me with the super chats, but also we're going to do a whiskey tasting because we both like whiskey.
Love it.
Yes.
Love whiskey.
We've drank whiskey together at your house in Idaho. You have hopped on an aeroplane.
An airplane.
An aeroplane and flown here you flew from Spokane, Washington, the Spokane airport, to Burbank, California. Correct. Not a long flight.
No.
But your bag did not end up on your plane.
No, it ended up on another plane.
Yeah, but you got it.
I got
just
it.
now. Just now you got it. Good.
It just showed up.
I'm glad you got it. So Spencer's going to be monitoring those super chats, so that hopefully we get them. And then, you know, we do snakes and Scotch, and I always have a Scotch with me. And this time we have, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 that we're going to be tasting. You're in charge of pouring.
Okay.
And here's the rule. I do not want to end this live stream by passing out while singing "Oh Danny Boy."
Perfect.
Okay, so if you could pour, just so that doesn't happen, it'll be great. And I've lined them up. Well, I'll show you which bottles we have. But we have an Irish whiskey, a bourbon, and basically 3 Scotches. And I've lined them up in order, because here's the problem: if you're tasting wine, you can taste wine all night, and you either swallow it or spit it out, whatever. Taste wine all night, it's fine. The problem with whiskey is whiskey ruins your palate. So it's difficult to taste multiple whiskeys. So I think I've lined them up in a nice order where we started with the stuff that's not going to ruin your palate as bad first. Hey, don't knock stuff over, please. And then we end with the crazy stuff. So that's what's happening. And then, here's why I got Echo out. Because Amy wrote, because even though Amy's not here today for the live stream, she still put together all the questions for me from Patreon. And she always makes her notes. And so she says, I think we should definitely run a science experiment while you've got Spencer there to see if Echo eats anything that moves into her ambush range or if it's just you. And then she says, sorry, Spencer, but it's for science.
Perfect.
So if Echo ever gets in an ambush position, we just see if she bites Spencer, I guess. Where I don't think we'll do that. She's not going to get into ambush position. In fact, I tell you what, should we let's start with that green spot. Here, let me see that bottle first so I can show. This is my favorite Irish whiskey. It's called Green Spot. It's in a tie with Red Breast. Red Breast 12 is my other favorite, but Green Spot is a lovely, it's just really nice. Good Irish whiskey. So we're going to start with that. And, here's my mom, you guys. My mom's in. Mom says, hey, Spencer, glad to meet you.
Hello. We actually are neighbors.
That's right. You live less than 2 miles from my mom.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We should hang out.
And my dad. Yeah, you should go to my parents' house and hang out. Okay. Here we go. So, we got this? Okay. Now, you haven't tried Green Spot yet,
I have not.
Right? All right. I'm not going to give any tasting notes. I just want to see what you get out of it. I'm just going to drink a little bit and I'll talk, and then you tell me when you've got some thoughts on it. It's lovely. Okay. What else do we want to talk about real quick? What do you think of that?
It's good.
Here, give me.
Yeah.
What do you have any?
First of all, good Irish whiskey. I think what makes it stand out, it has some like candied apple.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking. That's so funny that you said that, because I don't know. You know, like if I said green apple or candied apple, you would get it, but I didn't want to say it.
Yeah.
But it is just a glass of. I mean, it's not flavored whiskey, but you absolutely get green apple or candied apple from it. It's really nice.
We should mention that I kind of taste for a living. That's what I do for.
Oh, that's right. Spencer has a coffee roasting company called Wilder Coffee, right?
Sure.
He makes great coffee, and if I could reach the coffee that he brought me, I would show it to you on screen. I will, but I just can't reach it right now. Wilder Coffee, look it up. It's good stuff. But he also has the Royals Project, and Spencer is the newest sponsor for Green Room Pythons. You'll see his info when I do the Patreon scroll and talk about the sponsors in the videos. He's got Spencer really cool into and seen his snakes. A couple of snakes are from me. He's actually, Spencer has purchased the 2 coolest snakes that I've ever produced, in my opinion. he's got yeah. And one of them is, so Tiger Lily, those of you who know Tiger Lily, I'm not going to pull her out because she's deep in shed, but she's got a ton of genes. And I produced one that's exactly like her the next year, and Spencer got that one. And then he got a super asphalt that's got a bunch of other stuff. So what are you said right now you have 1 clutch in the oven, right?
Yep.
What is it?
So the clutch that we have in the incubator is going to be a orange dream, yellow belly, pastel pied to a black pastel pinstripe het pied. So
wow.
We should have some cool pied combinations. And then we have 5 or 6 girls right now that are just, they're going to lay any day. And I'm just waiting. It's getting frustrating.
What's what's your most excited? What are you most excited about?
We're gonna have a lot of confusion clown combinations.
Man, those are cool. I love confusion.
Yeah, and so I put that male to a few different females, and so we should have some really cool stuff. But yeah, we have GHI Mojave Ultramels coming. Nice. Yeah, so it's going to be really cool because the GHI and Mojave.
I'm excited to see that. Yeah, that's going to be cool. Anything with Ultramel in it, I think is cool. And especially when you have something like GHI that messes with the pattern. Because you can't do much color-wise with Ultramel. I don't think there's anything that messes around too much with the color. But pattern stuff that's going to be cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So Spencer's got a lot of cool stuff. I'll keep you updated as things happen in his room. And by the way, I saw that Mom invited you over for burgers.
Oh, perfect.
Somewhere. I didn't. Oh, there it is. Yeah, she says we can throw some burgers on the grill.
Perfect.
And bring your own whiskey, though.
Okay, it's a deal.
But my dad loves coffee. So Mom's coming up with all kinds of ideas. You guys are pals now. So great. Oh, that's right. Oh, Mom just had a great idea. Spencer, I'd love to see your snakes. And if I'd known you were headed south, I would have sent a new hat for Bob with you. Yeah, Mom's got a hat for me.
Next time.
Yeah. That's right. Shoot, I didn't think of that. That's hilarious. I should have. So let's see what we got here. By the way, I'll talk about that one when we get to it. Mm-hmm. Let's just start in with Patreon questions. As you guys know, I have questions on my clipboard that are all from Patreon. And we just go through these. And then if I see a question on here that I can quickly answer, I will, but I'm going to skip most of them. So super chat them if you want me to see them. Or if you ask a question that, like, you're having a problem with your snake or something like that, and you just ask the question, there's a good chance that I won't see it, but other people who are very experienced with snakes in the chat will see it, and they will answer your question. So if you've asked something, keep an eye on the chat, because I'm seeing there's a number of people that are very experienced right now that are in the chat. I'm seeing them, and they can answer that stuff for you. So keep an eye on that. That'll keep you from. Sometimes I notice when I go through the chat later, I notice that people ask the same question 100 times because they're trying to get me to see it and answer it. And I just probably won't. Hey, where are you going? She's just knocking little flashlights off and trying to get away. Here, you want to take Echo? There we go. See how she does with you. Okay. Have you held a super dwarf reticulated python before?
Not a super dwarf. My buddy has reticulated pythons, so I hold bigger ones.
Okay, but not.
This is much more manageable.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I'm just watching her head to make sure. She's got big eyes right now, which I think she's just. I wouldn't. Here's the thing. I wouldn't let her get too close to your face.
She likes faces.
No, it's just if she, like, I don't think she would bite. Like, she's not gonna bite me, but you have a different scent, and so you just never know. I don't think anything will happen, but I don't want her to try to take your face. She's never tried to take a face before, but
there's always a first time.
There's always a first time. And look, if any of my snakes bite anybody's face, I would want it to be yours.
Thank you.
So out of all my friends, okay, here we go. Questions from Patreon. By the way, let me just say the next pours should be closer to this level.
Okay.
If we don't want me passing out and singing Danny Boy.
Perfect.
It's actually not a thing that would happen. I have a really good regulator where if I get a little bit beyond buzzed, I start to feel sick. So I don't ever get drunk because I just get sick and have to go to bed. So it just doesn't happen. But I do want to try to get through all those before I stop. Okay. So Michael Nichols asks, so Michael was on the Patreon trip with us, and there's a couple people that I think did speech to text, and I think this because the sentence that they put together doesn't make sense, and I do it all the time. And if I do speech to text and I just hit send, nobody knows what I'm trying to say. So this is what happened, but I think I know basically what Michael's saying. He's saying, how many people were so good at misunderstood, hiding, and still had an amazing time? All right, so what he's talking about is Michael unfortunately got separated from the group, and the problem with Joshua Tree National Park is there is no cell signal for any service. You just cannot, when you're in the park, you cannot get a hold of anyone from your cellular device. So we learned that we got to have walkie-talkies out there. That's what has to happen next time. So Michael and Anton got separated from the group, but the first time that Michael got separated from the group, along with a couple other people, we found him and we all got together and I said, all right, you guys, here's where we're meeting at 5:00 if anybody gets separated again. And then promptly Michael and Anton were gone and we didn't see them again. That was probably, I don't know, 2:00 maybe in the afternoon. So we saw them at 5 at the saloon that we all had dinner at. And we had a great time. They went herping on their own and found some stuff, and we found some stuff, and we all found some stuff before that. So it was great. Everybody had a good time. But walkie-talkies, if you're bringing a group to Joshua Tree National Park and you're caravanning. All right. Lyra says, question for both of you. Do you have any experience feeding African soft-furred rats to your ball pythons? Considering getting some because I've heard they go nuts for them. So that's the first question. Have you done that?
We have, yeah. Have you?
Well, I will say this. African soft furs are not legal in California.
So you have not.
So I will say that I know that they do work very well for a snake that is not eating. I can bring my snake to a different state where it is legal and then feed them the rat and it will eat the soft fur, the African soft fur. And I bring them back into California. That's how it has to be done. But yes, the inspector has on a couple of occasions when he was younger taken African soft furs because I just wanted him to get him eating again. He had taken a break and it was time to get him started again. So, yeah.
We've fed that in the past. A friend of mine up in Idaho breeds them. And so for a while, I was feeding all of my snakes African soft furs. I was getting a good deal on them through her. And I think the snakes respond very well to them, nutritionally wise. Like they're just jam-packed, full of nutrition.
Yeah.
I think it was one of the breeders online compared, like you can breed,
Let's see where she goes.
You can feed one African soft fur, and it has the same amount of nutrition as like 3 rats. Like the snakes will maintain their weight.
Really?
Yeah. And
That's
so
crazy.
like you can feed less often if you're feeding African soft furs.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't know if that's true. I just read that. But the issue and why we switched back to rats was rats are far more available than African soft furs.
Yes.
And so if you get your snakes used to eating those, ball pythons can be super picky with what they eat.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you get them used to that and then your supply runs dry a little bit, gets kind of spotty.
Yeah.
Now your whole collection is struggling to get back on regular feeding.
That's also an issue with if for people who are breeders, if you're only feeding your snakes African soft furs and that's all they're going to take, and especially your babies, you don't want to feed them that because your customers aren't necessarily going to be able to source African soft furs. So for me, I think it's a really good option if you have a source for them to get an animal to get one of your snakes back on food if they've taken a long break. So you get them to take an African soft fur. What happens when a snake takes a long break is their whole digestive system shuts down. And then a lot of times there's not anything internally that tells them that it's time to eat. So that's why a good break ends up being a very extended break because there's nothing that tells them, hey, I should eat. So you get them to eat something that they can't refuse, like an African soft fur. That gets their digestive system going again in the next week or the next 2 weeks. It's telling them, hey, you should eat something. And then they'll take a mouse or a rat or whatever you want to give them. So, all right, that took us much longer to answer than because we have a few pages here. By the way, is the mic picking us both up okay? I'm using a mic that's sitting right here, and I want to make sure that you guys can hear us both. Somebody comment and tell me how the sound is. Next question from Lyra is... Oh, Joy says yes. Okay, great. Next question. How's Kent doing? As good as can be expected, I think, for Kent. I wonder what his opinion is on legless lizards. I asked him before he left today what he thought of legless lizards. He did not know, surprisingly, that there was such a thing. And I had to explain to him the difference and why that wasn't just a snake. And the main thing that I said so that he could understand what I was talking about is that legless lizards are able to blink. And he was horrified because basically he said that the legless lizard has the ability to wink sarcastically at you before attacking. And that just makes it scarier. So that's what he thinks of it. Hey, look at this. This is from someone named Jessica Lambus. Might be a cousin of yours or something. Says, Spencer is hot, marry me. Okay.
Yeah, that's my cousin.
Oh, that's your first cousin? Second cousin?
That's my lovely wife.
Hi, Jessica. That's pretty funny. Keith says, Spencer's a bit quiet. Can we make out with him? Oh, nope. He said, Spencer's a bit quiet, but we can make him out. I was rolling off your wife's comment. Okay.
Might get a few more followers after that.
Maybe. Where'd that go? Hang on. No, right. So if you move up a little bit closer, it might help. Here we go. We're off to other questions. Now we can let her go. If you get tired of her, you can just put her on the tree, and what she's going to do is she's going to go up and over, and she'll find a hide in there, and then she'll be hunting. There we go. Okay. Christopher asks. He wrote a whole paragraph of really nice things, which I appreciate, Christopher. But I'm not going to read them because it's awkward for me to read nice things about me. But they're very nice, or about the channel. Okay, so basically his question. Some of these questions I have to truncate. Okay, so looking to get a first ball python, but about to move to a town where live feeders are not available. Should we limit ourselves to only snakes that are raised on frozen thawed? Yeah, I think so, because even though most snakes will switch, and a lot of snakes will easily switch with no problem, there is also a pretty solid chance that you end up with one that absolutely won't take anything but live, and then you got a problem. You might find a snake that you just that you got breeder. Look, you could say, try to switch them to frozen thawed for me. See if they'll take a frozen thawed. That's your best bet. Find a snake you like. See if the breeder will try to switch them to frozen thawed, and then you'll buy them as long as they'll take it. Otherwise, you say, look, will you take the snake back if it won't eat after a month? I'm going to try to switch it. I wouldn't do that though. I would just get a snake that either is already on frozen thawed or that the breeder is willing to switch to frozen thawed. What's your thought on that? If somebody asks you to switch a snake to frozen thawed?
Yeah. I think for smaller breeders like me, that's definitely something that, a lot of us would be willing to accommodate. When you have like a big facility and you're already like moving, 500.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say. The big breeders, that's a big deal to ask a big breeder to do something like that. Even though it doesn't seem like a big deal, but they're taking care of so many snakes. When I got Molly Malone, my Ultramel het pied girl from Garrick DeMeyer, I asked him to do that. And I said, could you just offer her a frozen thawed on her last meal? And he did. He was willing to. He offered, but then he emailed me. He goes, look, I only offered once. I didn't go back and try it again. I've got hundreds of snakes to feed. And I was like, yeah, no problem. Don't worry about it. And she switched just fine. But anyway, that's my answer. That's my long, drawn-out answer. Where are we at? I know where we're at. Christopher has a follow-up question. What kind of paper substrate do you use for your quarantine tubs? You can use any kind of paper. I use, I guess it's butcher block paper. Is that what it's called? Yep. It's just the white, butcher paper. You can buy it on Amazon, but a lot of people use newspaper too.
Yeah, we use paper towels.
Yes, paper towels. Yeah. For babies, I use paper towels. Mm-hmm. I will say that you want to, if you're using paper towels, I did a video a long time ago where I said don't use paper towels because the snakes could swallow it, and they can. And I've had it happen. I'll tell you that story. The snake was fine, but if you have a snake on paper towels, especially if the paper towel is wet, when you feed them, just watch them eat. Make sure that they're not taking the paper towel in their mouth with them. I went to feed a baby snake. This was quite a while back. It was on wet paper towel, gave him the rat, and shut the tub. And then before I went to bed, I check on all my snakes to make sure they ate. I checked on that one, and he had almost the entire paper towel in his mouth with the bunched up bit coming out of his mouth. And I just grabbed it and slowly pulled it out, and it came out just fine, no problem. Like it was not the emergency that I thought it was going to be, but had I not looked, he would have had an entire paper towel in his belly.
That's not good.
Not good. Not a cool situation. I don't know what that would have done. I assumed that he would have digested it, but it would have been weird and would have been way too much to put in him, or her. I don't even know who it was. Matt, thanks for the update. Spitfire is almost 700 grams, and she still comes out super aggro for food. She cracks me up. Spitfire is the snake that I did the video on that was the strikiest snake I've ever had, and I tried to tame her down a bit before I sent her to Matthew. Thanks for the update. And from what I understand, she's super food aggressive, but otherwise not striking at every movement like she used to be, which is great, especially as she gets bigger. All right. Here we go.
Should we get another pour with each page?
Oh, yeah. Yes, maybe. Yeah. Okay.
Pages?
Yeah. Okay, so we're almost on to the next pour. That's a great idea. So Donna says, what size tubs / racks do you use for your adult ball pythons? I have them in V70s. The ones that I have in tubs are in V70s. That's what Spencer uses too for those tubs. And again, for somebody who breeds and has lots of snakes, racks are good and appropriate. if you're a pet keeper, try to have them in 4x2x2 cage. Cages, more room the better. As you know, my snakes, especially the ones that are in racks, get out of outside time because I free roam them. So but V70s. All right. Kristen says, what's a good size starter enclosure for a baby ball python? How long can they be in that until they need to upgrade to a 4x2x2 black box enclosure? So check out my ball python care guide, because that'll give you an idea of sizes. A hatchling ball python starts out in a tub like this, but that's usually at the breeder. That's before they go to their new home. They get upgraded. This little baby is almost ready for an upgrade. But she's in this. She's got 2 hides and some clutter in here. And she is hissing at me. She doesn't do that usually. She's this size. She's the size of about a snake that you would get when you when you order one from a breeder. She's probably 120 grams, something like that, maybe. How pretty is she, right? So she'll go into a bigger situation here soon. The other thing that I will say is that if you're eventually going to put them in a 4x2x2, a lot of people have good luck with just getting the 4x2x2, putting a whole bunch of clutter in there along with a number of hides. Make sure the snake can find their water dish. Make sure you have a big water dish or maybe a couple water dishes. That's the only real problem with it. And then as long as the snake is comfortable enough to eat, then they're fine in the 4x2x2 for their entire life. But you could also, go with a cage that's as long as the snake can stretch out. Sometimes we say, and I've said in videos before that one side plus one side should, the snake shouldn't be longer than one side but plus one side. But if this is a pet for you, have it. Make sure it's the length of the snake. That's a good rule to go by. All right. Can you potty train a snake to poop outside their enclosure? Inquiring minds want to know. No, but depending on your snake, some snakes like to poop when they're outside their enclosure. Who did it the other day? Maya. Get a black-headed python. They like to poop outside their enclosure. Some snakes will take advantage of it if you free roam them. Most of my ball pythons don't. I do clean up pee more with the ball pythons, but it's still pretty rare, that I have to clean up. And really, like, for as much as I free roam them, I probably am cleaning up pee once every 2 weeks from a ball python, and almost never poop. But to answer your question, there's not really a way to train them to do that. I will say that Amy Benzie used to free roam like king snakes and stuff in her house, and like they just lived there. She had heat mats around. I don't recommend doing this, but it worked for her for a while. She had heat mats around, and she had water dishes that laying around, and the snakes would poop in the water dishes. And she said that she basically had them potty trained because naturally they would rather go in water than somewhere else. I'm assuming because they're leaving their scent if they don't go in water. But that's just an anecdotal thing because she was free roaming them 24/7. Again, I don't recommend that. James asks, how much should I spend on setting up the habitat and what size do I start with? Okay, so that's similar to that other question. How much should you spend? I mean, you could get a tub at a hardware store and spend next to nothing, right? And a heat mat.
That's a good place to start until you figure out what you want.
Yeah, for sure. You can definitely go cheap, especially with a baby. A baby ball python is going to appreciate a tub because there's a little bit more security in that. But you want to move up, especially if it's just a pet. I mean, I don't mean just a pet, but especially if it's a pet and you don't have a ton of snakes. Have something that you're going to be proud of and it's going to be fun to look at. something cool, like back there
From Black Box.
from Black Box Cages. Yep, another channel sponsor. Hey, guess what? We are on.
Are we ready?
Yep, we're on the next. Okay, so this is Navigator. I had never heard of this, but Anton brought this to me. Anton was on the herping trip, and he brought a bottle of this. Classy gift. I've said it before. Gifts are nice, but a nice bottle of whiskey is a classy gift. And this, I had never heard of it, but it's got good reviews. It got good points on wine. What's the wine thing? Can't remember. But anyway, I've tried it already, and it's interesting. It's very good, but it's interesting, and I'm not going to say the tasting notes that I had. It's good stuff, though. All right. So while Spencer is pouring that, Brooke says, let's see. This is another one that I'm going to condense. Yeah, that's a great pour. Yeah, I like it. Oh man, that's nice. It just smells really good. So Brooke has tubs. She's just starting with tubs, and she's got condensation all over the front of the tubs. How do I fix this? This is how you fix it. You take a little soldering iron, and you put holes in the front of your tubs. You can put holes in the sides of your tubs, but you have to, in almost all situations, put holes in. And start with a small handful in the front and see how that does. If you need more, put them in the side. You can put them in the back. That's how you do. Tubs need pretty good ventilation. So I think almost all my tubs have holes popped in them. That's the way to do it. All right. What do you got? What do you got on that one?
It was good. It's smooth. Has a little bit of spice, which you don't usually find in bourbon.
Yeah.
Like a little cinnamon.
Yeah, almost like a rye.
Yeah. But then it has that nice, like, oaky cherry kind of finish. Yeah, I like it. It's finished in red wine barrels.
Yeah. What are you doing, Echo? Huh? Hi. Nice. So it is nice. There's a lot of barrel taste. I get the first thing that I thought of. The first thing I get off that is chocolate, like dark chocolate.
But not the earthy side of it, but just that, like, yeah, the mouthfeel.
Mm-hmm.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that's good. It's very good. Thanks, Anton, for that bottle. It's lovely.
Thank you, Anton.
It's lovely. All right. Here's another one that I'm going to condense. This is from James. Got my first ball python on Sunday. He's 3 years old. Put him in his cage. Then I moved stuff around and touched him some. He's been very socialized by the breeder, who's had him 3 years. So basically, he pulled the hide off and touched him a little bit. Did I mess up checking on him on the second day? No, you didn't. The rule for ball pythons is that you want to leave them alone basically for the first week. But that's a rule that we have just based on our experience, our collective experience in the years that we've been working with snakes, that a new snake needs to have some time to relax in their enclosure. But going in there to clean, quickly lifting the hide for a second, not that big of a deal, especially on a snake that's older and has been socialized. That's going to be no problem probably for that snake. A brand new young baby that's super jumpy might feel a little bit more stress from something like that, but it's still, they're going to get over it as long as you basically leave them alone for the week, other than a bit of spot cleaning here and there. Maybe they're going to be fine. So I think this well socialized 3-year-old, that's no problem. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think that's all good advice.
Yeah. Where'd Echo go? Oh, she's up there. Okay. She just came down to see me and then went back up. New Smithsonian, thanks for the super chat. Hi, Bob. Where's the last time you took a bad bite? When's the last time you took a bad bite? I've never had a bad bite. I don't. No, that's not true. That's not true. Freya bit me in the palm of my hand. I've talked about this, I think, in a live stream before, but that didn't feel good. That came from opening her tub like this, grabbing the tub, having the palm of my hand right there, and then tag. She got me. I don't do that. I use open her tub. I don't ever worry too much about bites. And even the palm of the hand, even though it hurt, it wasn't excruciating. It wasn't that big of a deal. So I'm not as careful. Like Clint talks about, Clint doesn't like getting bit at all. So he's very careful with the snakes, and Clint rarely gets bit. I don't pay attention with it when if I go into Echo's cage and I'm messing around, she'll bite my arm and wrap me up before I've realized what's happened because I don't have my eyes on her. It doesn't happen very often, but anytime that she's bit me, it's because I'm not paying attention to where she is or what she's doing. Clint is here, you guys, from Black Box Cages. Not Clint from Clint's Reptile Room, which is who I was just talking about. Hi, Clint. Good to see you. Glad you're here. You've probably been in here chatting the whole time, and I just haven't noticed. Okay. Have you taken a bad bite from one of your...
No, I have a couple girls that want to bite me really bad, but I'm pretty aware of them.
Is it because they're scared of you or because you're delicious?
Probably because I'm delicious.
Yeah, okay.
I got them when they were older, and they definitely weren't socialized. They were definitely used to just being defensive to everything that came.
So they are defensive. It's not a food bite.
No.
It's a defensive bite.
No.
Okay. All right.
No, I'm still delicious.
Yes, no, of course. But I was saying that, I meant is it a food bite? Okay.
No, they're very defensive. The worst bite that I've taken, I was probing a baby to see if it was a little boy, little girl, and they didn't like that.
No, I wouldn't either. Yeah. I don't think...
That was the worst bite.
We are basically the gray aliens to snakes.
Exactly.
When we probe them, they're like,
exactly.
What are you doing with my butt? Why are you... Don't do that. Yeah. I don't blame them. Okay, so where are we at here? Okay. Azara, who was on our herping trip. Azara Grimm says, hope I can catch this one. That's right. You had your graduation ceremony. Congratulations on your graduation. What's your emergency plan for the snakes if an earthquake hits? That's a great question. My plan in an earthquake, I've got this all planned out, is to fill up all their waters again and then make sure that their enclosures didn't get too humid when all their water's sloshed out. That is my general plan. An earthquake, that's really, I assume what you're talking about is a massive earthquake, like a massive disaster. Power outages could happen. You got to be ready for a power outage for any reason. And generators are great to have for that if you need that. My biggest fear is not it getting too cold here. It's getting too hot. And I think if the power went out when it was hot, I would just open up everything, make sure there was a breeze. I'd probably shut off the heat to all the cages, and then we would sit here in our 95-degree place, and they'd be fine, until the power would get back on. Fortunately, I live in the middle of Burbank, which is a very well-serviced city. If I was out in the sticks, it'd be a different story. Okay, Richard says, hello, Bob. I have a question about breeding ball pythons. Actually, two questions. Okay, Spencer and I are going to both answer this. Number one, do you have to breed more than one male to a female to ensure success? No, not at all. You figure out what you want to make, and you usually have one male to a female. Some breeders do that in certain cases. I've done it once, and I did it this year because I was putting one girl with a male, and then I changed my mind halfway through. I was like, actually, I think I want to do this male. So we'll see what happens when she lays. Have you done multiple males ever?
We did it once, and we ended up with a split clutch.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So a split clutch, you guys, generally what happens is the male will, or the female will choose which male sperm to use, and the clutch will almost always be from one of the males. A split clutch is that she used both, which is pretty rare.
Yeah. It made it confusing as you're walking through the babies, and you're like, who's the dad?
Yeah, yeah.
But it had to be both dads, which was kind of cool. But yeah, I typically stay away from that because we have a plan with what we're breeding, because we're not just breeding for fun. You know,
Mhm.
we have intentions with the babies that we want to hit and the genetics that we want to move along. So yeah, I typically stick with one male, and I'll put him to that female once a month.
Yeah.
If I want to use him with multiple females, you know, he'll go every other week to a girl.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
Get fed in
usually,
between and stuff.
yep.
Yeah.
Usually we don't put two males to one girl.
Yeah, yeah. Christopher, thank you for the super chat and the great question. I love this question because I've been asked this a number of times. Not on Patreon, but like at a pub when I'm talking about Scotch, I get asked this question. It's a very good one. Christopher says, thanks for taking my Patreon questions. And as a Scotch guy, how do you feel about Macallan? Here's how I feel about Macallan. Macallan is a very good Scotch, and they are the best at marketing themselves. They have the best marketing department in all of the Scotch industry. And because of their marketing, they can charge more for their good Scotch than it's worth. So it is good. But Macallan is the Scotch that you buy for your boss when you know that they drink whiskey. And it's like if you don't know Scotch very well, there's a good chance you've heard of Macallan, and you know that Macallan has a good name, so you buy that for your boss. It's actually not a bad gift, because if your boss doesn't know whiskey well, chances are they've heard of Macallan and they know that it's a good Scotch. It's just that for the dollars that you're going to spend on that Macallan, if you know Scotch, you can take those same dollars and buy a much better Scotch. But again, it's good. Macallan's good. It's fine.
How long have you been drinking Scotch?
My dad got me started when I was 7, and so quite a while. No, I'm kidding. I started drinking. I started drinking whiskey. It was years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know. Probably over 10 years ago. But I did it because I didn't want to drink beers. Like, I was going to parties and stuff, and I just would be drinking beers all night. I'm like, why do I don't really like beer. I was just drinking it socially, and I don't need all these extra calories. And I thought, if I can just sip on a whiskey all night, I'm not going to have all those extra calories. And I just developed a palate for it. I started with rye whiskey, which I like quite a bit. But the reason I started with rye is a spicy whiskey. Rye makes it kind of spicy, and it's harder to drink. And it made it so that I could order a double and really be sipping on that one double Scotch or double whiskey all night.
That's great.
And it worked out well. Tebby Lamplighter is asking for Handsome Dan. You want to grab him from up there?
Sure.
Just grab. No, he's not. Just grab the whole hide that he's in. He's out right now, so he's an easy one to grab. I forgot that we don't have a snake co-host. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you just pull him out of that hide.
Maybe you should mention our secret password for the Royals project.
Oh, that's right. So we have discount codes for most of my sponsored most of our sponsored channel sponsors. But for Spencer's, it's a password, because you're just going to call Spencer if you want to buy a snake from the Royals project. You're going to talk to Spencer. The password is Handsome Dan is cool too. Handsome Dan is the only boa in all of Green Room Pythons, and we want to make sure that he gets some love. So that's the password for him. Hi, pal.
He's a good-looking snake.
He is a good-looking snake, isn't he?
He's handsome.
He's handsome, and he's a little squirrely. He's kind of, he's not. He would much rather be on his own.
Do you find that that's boas generally?
I don't really know, because he's the only one that I've ever had. I've never kept a boa before, and I think just like pythons, they all have their own sort of personality.
Sure.
they do say that the Central American boas tend to be more defensive. So he's not defensive at all, but he is more like, he knows me well, but he's like, I don't want you to hold me.
Right.
I want you to take me out and put me somewhere. So, which is what I did. He was sitting in a basket. Okay, let's see where we're at on this. Let's see. Handsome Dan, the official mascot for Green Room Pythons, in case you didn't know. Oh, and somebody asked, there's a question about a Handsome Dan shirt in here that we're going to talk about. Hold on, let me grab this super chat real quick. Thanks, Danielle. Good to see you. How's Baby Shark doing? Baby Shark is doing all right. Little shark mouth baby. This little shark mouth baby is a freeway, and he's going to take an assist feed. I don't think I'm going to get the camera to focus, but I'm trying to show you his little shark mouth. Shark mouth, for those who don't know, it's not going to focus, but it's when the bottom part of the jaw is underdeveloped and he has an overbite. And he has not eaten on his own yet, but he's going to take an assist feed tonight. We had a failed assist feed a few days ago, so I'm just going to try with a smaller rodent tonight.
What are you feeding him?
Just a little fuzzy mouse. It was last time it was a hopper because that's what I had, and it just what I do with him is I try. I'm not force feeding him. I try. I'm just looking for super chats here. I try like 4 or 5 times, and if he drops it 4 or 5 times, then I give up and we try again another day.
Do you put it in his mouth?
Mm-hmm.
Then...
Put it in the back of his mouth, so it's good in there, and I close his mouth and pull on the tail of the so that it'll catch on his teeth, and then I hold him upside down by his tail, and the gravity helps them. This is not. I'm not saying that you should assist feed your snakes. This is very important. If you have a snake that has ever in its life eaten, it knows how to eat, don't assist feed. If you bought a snake and he hasn't eaten for you in a month, do not assist feed that snake. The breeder has fed it. It knows how to eat. This is for breeders who have a brand new snake that has a problem like this, or just a snake that is stubborn and hasn't figured out how to eat yet, is when assist feeding is appropriate. Otherwise, let a vet tell you when assist feeding is appropriate. Because if your snake knows how to eat, they will eventually eat when they're ready.
It's almost last resort neighborhood.
Right, because it's stressful for the snake,
Totally.
Right? Have you had snakes that you've had to assist feed?
So that was my one of my mistakes early on. I think it was my very first clutch. I had 2 babies that weren't eating, and I took one and I assist fed, not force fed, assist fed, and she took it. And then I was talking to a breeder buddy of mine, and he was asking how old she was, and he's like, "Oh, you had quite a while before you had to be concerned about that."
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And so I think it's one of those things where, as owners, we get really nervous real quick about our animals.
Sure, yeah.
And
it's scary.
Yeah, it can be scary because they're not eating, but they're not on the same food schedule we are.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, everybody's saying hi to the inspector who crawled out. The inspector has been acting weird lately, and you guys know that he does that sometimes. He gets into modes where he acts weird. He's been coming out a lot when the light's on, and he'll come out once or twice in the middle of the day, and then he'll go back to sleep. He doesn't usually do that. It's kind of a seasonal thing. And real cranky with me, but he hasn't been trying to battle me like he's done before, where he'll try to do male-to-male combat with me. But he does arch himself if I try to touch him. I don't think you're going to be able to see it because it's pretty. So I'm going to try to touch his back. Let's see what he does. Oh, he's not arching. Okay. Well, he's not going to do it now that I have a camera on him. Although he is tensing up. Okay, buddy, I'll leave you alone. He's tensed up. Handsome Dan's going right back in his basket where he was. Spencer's putting him back. Spencer, grab any snake that. Actually, let's see who people want to see. Brady just did a super chat. You guys, who do you want to see? There's a number of snakes that are in shed right now that I'm not going to pull out. But actually, you know what? Grab Damara. Grab Damara second. Yeah, she just her for a minute. Brady, I know you can't join tonight. I appreciate you though. I appreciate the super chat. You guys have a great time at Rhonda's birthday. You guys, it's Amy's mom's birthday today. Hi, Captain Dummy Talk. I didn't mean to click on your comment there. It's Amy's mom's birthday tonight. Brady is Amy's husband. And I appreciate your super chat, Brady. Have fun tonight. Rhonda is a lovely woman whose birthday it is today. I don't know if it's today, but the celebration is today, and that's why Amy's not on the live stream tonight. You guys can also tell Amy happy birthday because it's not yet, but it's soon. It's this month. So, are we on the next? How far are we into this? Probably best to tell her happy birthday. Oh, no. You better tell her on this one, even though she's not here for it, because she will have already had it by the next live stream. I don't know where we're at in this. Okay, Richard says, hello, Bob. I have a question about breeding ball pythons. You know what? I want to check. Sorry, Richard. Hang on. We're going to get back to yours. But I just remembered that I wanted to check to see if I had missed any super chats. I don't think I have. Okay. Amy's here. We are talking about you, Amy. Hi. Are you guys skipping out on Rhonda's birthday party to be at the live stream? I hope not. I hope you're just checking in for a minute. But have a good time. Hi, everybody. All right, Richard, back to Richard's question. Hello, Bob. I have a question about breeding ball pythons. Actually, a two-part question. Oh, wait. We already did this. Do we do the second part, though? What do you do with the babies once they pip in regards to umbilical cords and checking overall health? So, what do you do? And then I'll say what I do.
Yeah, I kind of leave them in the eggs until they come out on their own. I've had one baby come out and still had a little bit of the yolk and the umbilical left. And so it wasn't a substantial amount of yolk. And so I wanted to move them out because I didn't want all that exposed.
Right.
So I took just a little bit of dental floss and tied it off right at her tummy. And she was great.
Yeah, so that is tying off between their tummy and where you're going to cut it.
Yep.
So you can cut it. It doesn't hurt them to cut the umbilical cord, but you don't want it to bleed out. So that's why you're tying it off with the dental floss. I've also only done that once.
Yep.
But as far as checking for health, I give the snakes a quick once over. I'm looking for kinks. I'm looking for shark mouth. Anything that's weird. I check that both eyes are the same size. Stuff like that. Very quickly, and then I get them into a tub where they're all. Most breeders put them, the entire clutch once they're out of the egg, into one tub that's about this size, together until they shed for the first time, which is going to happen in about 10 or 11 days. You put them on wet paper towel. They all pile up in the back over the heat, and they just sit there in a snake cuddle puddle until they shed. And then once they shed, you separate them. That's what most people do. I assume that's what you do. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Des, thanks for the super chat. Hi, Bob. What size cage should I get for a 260-gram ball python? I was late to the stream. Apologize. Hi, Bob's guest. This is Spencer. Got to say my full name. Amy's orders. Oh, right. Amy wanted me to say Dezumasuku. _87. Hi, Desumasuku. Desumasuku _87. For 260-gram ball python, I would say that, I mean, I don't know what kind of cage you're getting, but, that's a snake that is, let's say, yay long. And if you had a cage that was about this long or longer, that would be fantastic. That's a baby snake. So clutter is good. Having them, hi, babes. Having them, making sure that they have places to hide and such like that is good. Let's put her back because she might be nesting at this point. I don't know where she's at in her. We are breeding Damara this year. I wasn't going to, but then it happened. So she's hopefully going to have some babies with the inspector this year.
Have you seen any locks?
Oh yeah, they've locked a number of times. I don't have I was telling Spencer this earlier. I don't use a ultrasound, and I don't always catch the ovulations because I'm out of town so much. So I'm kind of guessing a lot of times. I do some palpating here and there, but it doesn't really matter. They're going to either lay eggs or they're not going to lay eggs, and sometimes it's a surprise.
I know you maternally incubated eggs last year.
Yeah, I did that once.
Are you going to do that again?
I might do it again depending on who it is. It was cool. It was a cool thing to do, to maternally incubate. I did it with Freya and her clutch, and one of those eggs went moldy and bad. And when something like that happens, it always makes me wonder if I had those eggs in a incubator, would things have been different? But it's really cool to see those babies pip out. And what else was really interesting is that we say that the mother doesn't really pay attention to the babies. I always say that when the eggs hatch, the python mother is like, oh, look at all these babies that just ruined all the eggs that I cared so much about. But they don't really do that. And Freya, at one point, I was checking on babies and stuff, and so Freya went to the other side of her cage into a hide. And as soon as I was done messing with the babies, she came right back. The babies were all out of their eggs. She was done incubating. She came right back and wrapped around her babies, and wanted to, she seemed very interested in what was going on with them. So, cool. They probably do that for a week or so. Mm-hmm. Do we have a reticulated python? Oh yeah, there she is. Hi, babe. Oh, look, you can see her head. Right there, coming down. Slowly coming down, being a hunter. Katie, Amy's sister. Now we got the entire family super chatting. We got Amy's husband, we got Amy, and Amy's sister. Although Amy didn't super chat, I just happened to see her thing. Rhonda says, thank you all so much for the birthday wishes. Good. I'm glad that we got a bunch of people to tell Rhonda happy birthday. And have I missed any super chats while I was... Great. Okay. I think we got them. All right, great. Lucas, thanks for the super chat. How about I got my first adult ball python. She was just starting breeding season with the previous owner. I own others, but got them as babies. She was previously kept in a rack with no substrate, and I can't get her to eat now in a tank. Yeah, so what you might want to do, Lucas, that makes sense. If that's what she's used to, the tank's going to be a really scary situation. Brand new place, got shipped into a brand new place, and now doesn't recognize anything that she's living in. So go to the hardware store, get yourself a tub with a locking lid. And this is not for the rest of her life, but just for now, get her in that tub with a heat mat so that it's something like what she was in what I assume would be a rack. Or would have been a rack. You can even cover the tub if it's, it'll be like one of those sort of clear tubs. Just cover it with a blanket or something so that it's dark and it simulates what she's used to. That's going to be your best bet. Amy, thanks for the super chat. Now Amy's saying Rhonda says thanks for the birthday wishes. Thanks for all those super chats, you guys. I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. You guys, I'm driving to Utah tomorrow to go herping with Amy. We're going on a herping trip, and we're celebrating her birthday. Amy says, Katie beat me to the punch. Yes, she did. But I appreciate all of you guys sending in super chats. Okay, are we on the next page yet? Because I really want to get to what are we on next? Oh, that's the one that I haven't tried yet. The Darkness. I found this. This was not a gift. I bought this myself. It's a Scotch that I had never heard of before, and that's pretty rare. I think it's probably new to the United States, but it's you can't anyway. It is an 8-year Scotch finished in sherry casks. There's a term called a sherry bomb, which is a Scotch that is heavily sherried, and I really like them. And that one seems promising. So we're on that one next. As soon as I can figure out where we're at. Okay. Justin says, I'm working on an assignment for a herpetology class. Want to know why you think a majority of the population is afraid of snakes? That's a great question. We'll get both of our thoughts on this. Hold on. Let's try this first. This is my first time trying this. Oh, yeah. Smell that sherry? That's huge.
Doesn't even smell like Scotch.
No. That's the cool thing about Scotch is it can taste so different. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
That might be my favorite sherried Scotch.
It's so sweet. It's just like
like I got caramel.
Yep.
So much caramel right on the front. Oh my gosh. That's really nice. You guys, if you want to try a lovely sherried Scotch, Darkness. There's no K at the end. Darkness. I recommend it. It's not as I've tried some sherry bombs that are like massive, also really high alcohol content. That's only 47.8%, so that's a little bit smoother. Avalor makes a couple that are like 68%. That are crazy. Like you have to add water to them. Oh, that's really nice. Okay, I'm gonna get to these super chats. Don't let me forget these.
Okay.
Starting with Joy's. We're gonna get to that, but I need to answer this question that I just started. Where was it? Why you think majority of the population is afraid of snakes? So I don't think that we're born with it. That's a theory, because monkeys are afraid of snakes, apes are afraid of snakes, and they think that we're just naturally born with it. I don't think so. I get a lot of children coming over here to look at snakes, and the reason is that my very close friend Yoli and neighbor is a piano teacher, and the piano studio is right outside my door. Kids come over, they all know me, the parents all know me, and the kids come over to see the snakes. When she gets new students, they come over to see the snakes. The parents are often afraid of snakes. The kids almost never are. I've only come across a couple of kids that have been afraid of snakes. But that being said, I think that people develop a fear because, they could have a bad experience with a snake, but I think most of the time it's because of media that they've consumed. And it's also lack of knowledge. People know that snakes can be venomous and very dangerous. They don't know which ones are and which ones aren't. So that means every snake is scary. It's almost like we know that there are certain dogs. I'm not talking about breeds of dogs, but certain individual dogs that will attack people and be super aggressive and cause a lot of damage. Mm-hmm. And if you just thought that any dog potentially could do that, you'd be really afraid of dogs. But fortunately, we know that those are outlier dogs, and those dogs are really nice, and most of us love dogs. But I think it's the lack of knowledge on snakes. You just assume that every snake is probably venomous and dangerous because you don't know. What do you think?
So I was one of those people.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So as a kid, I liked snakes, and then I became an adult and got smart and said, I don't like those. My wife actually grew up with a ball python. She doesn't understand why we have so many now, but the process of me learning to like and hold and enjoy, and now it's.
I did not know this about you.
Yeah. So when we first met, I would never hold a snake.
Yeah, and we first met 10 years ago.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah,
15 years ago. Yeah. But yeah, then as you start to learn about them, because historically, like you said, a lot of people say, "Oh, we're born with it," like from the dawn of time, we've just been like, "Oh, those are venomous," right. But that's not necessarily. We have beard. The Egyptian has that was new life. When snakes would shed their skin, a lot of cultures saw that as like a healing property.
Yeah.
And so I don't necessarily buy into that idea that we've always been scared of them as humanity.
Right.
But like you said, I think media really plays it up.
Is that what you think made you develop the fear?
Probably, because it's all passive, right?
Yeah.
It's all just kind of like, oh, did you see anaconda? Oh, did you see snakes on a plane? Like.
Right.
So probably just this, and I think as we become adults, we lose like the curiosity and wonder we had as kids. And so like as adults, we get a mortgage and we get responsibility. And
we just know that we could be killed by something.
Right, exactly. That's dangerous. We'll avoid it.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, so it's been just the last 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a point was made that I forgot to mention, and that is that Spencer and I have known each other since long before green room pythons was a thing, which I think is cool that we're both now doing snake stuff. And for me, I've always been into reptiles since I was a little kid, but didn't have.
Do you remember when I called you with my first snake with a bunch of questions?
Yeah, I do. It was great. Okay, let's get to these super chat. Wait, did we finish that? I think so. Yeah. All right, Justin. That's cool that you got a herpetology class going. Okay, Joy. Thanks for the super chat. I'm so glad you mentioned it's Rhonda's birthday. Reminded me that today is my brother's birthday. Also, I had spaced it. Oh, happy birthday to Joy's brother. I'm glad that we didn't get to the very end of the day, so you can at least send him a text. Thanks for that super chat, Joy. And Danielle Champion tipping for the perfect girl, Damara. Oh, that's so nice. I love Damara. She is a perfect girl. She is, when those kids come over, if it's a little kid, like especially toddler, where I don't trust how they're going to react. A lot of times a toddler will not scream out of fear, but scream out of excitement. They just don't know how to handle themselves when they're excited to hold an animal or whatever. And if the child is that young, Damara is the one that I'm going to hand to them. Damara is my biggest snake, my heaviest snake. But I know that no matter what a kid does, Damara is not going to freak out. So let's just check on. Oh, hi, Mama. We got still in the same spot, just in ambush position. Man, if a bat flies by, she's going to be so happy because she's just waiting for it. Okay. Garrett, thanks for the super chat. Hello, Bob. I have a female ball python, which is 115 grams. When I got her, she was 73 grams, but still hasn't shed, but eats great for me. Any idea why no shed? Yeah, she's just not ready yet. She'll do it. Shedding is a thing that a lot of keepers, newer keepers, worry about, like that they have to do something to take care of their snake when in shed. And there is, you do want to buff their humidity, but basically the snake will shed whenever they're ready to shed. And generally, if their snake is growing at a normal rate, figure every 6 weeks-ish, but it might take a lot longer for a snake to shed at a certain point, and they might shed back to back for some reason at some point. So it's not something you have to worry too much about. They'll do it whenever they do it. And sometimes you don't notice it, especially with the babies, and especially if you're not used to seeing what it's supposed to look like.
Mm.
You may not notice it and just find a shed in their cage
Mm-hmm.
at some point.
Yeah, if she's eating, it's good to go.
Yeah. Eating is the thing. That's the important thing, and eating and growing obviously too. So that's great. Man, that darkness.
That's really good.
That is going to be a go-to
Staple
Scotch for me. Yeah. That is definitely my favorite sherried Scotch.
What was the first Scotch that you tried? Do you remember?
I don't remember what my first Scotch was. It was probably like a Glenfiddich or something like that, the standard one that you would find in a pub. But I tell you, the first Scotch where I went, wow, that is my favorite thing to drink, was Lafroig 10. It was an Islay Scotch, which is my favorite type of Scotch. But I also appreciate other, like that sherried Scotch that I'm loving right now is not an Islay Scotch. But man, it's good. And also, Islay Scotch, you can't just drink all the time,
right?
Because it's very specific, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's not something you want all the time.
Yeah, I started with Speyside.
Oh yeah,
so
Speyside's great.
Yeah, but my initial impression of Scotch was like, oh, it's fruity and citrusy. It's real nice.
Which that one kind of is.
Yeah, this one. I was trying to see where it's from.
Tell me when you find it, because I don't know. Does it not tell you?
I don't think so.
But it is a single malt, right? Like it's not a. Yeah. Well, let's find out where that is from. Man, it's really good. Okay. All right. Michelle says, "How can you get your ball python to be more active so they don't become overweight? I have a playpen with enrichment items, and I take my boy out every chance I get when he's not shedding and digesting, but he doesn't seem interested in being active." Yeah, so you have a ball python. That is what they do. Snakes, many snakes are not super active, and ball pythons are not super active. Keeping them in shape has more to do with your feeding schedule, making sure not to power feed them and overfeed them. I do like my snakes to have a little bit of exercise, but when I always say that I free roam my all my snakes, and when I'm doing that with Echo here, Echo will cruise around for a little bit until she does this, which is set up an ambush position, and then she's sitting for a while. But for a ball python, what free roaming usually means is they're going to cruise around for 5 minutes, maybe 10, and then they're going to find a spot to curl up and go to sleep for the rest of the day. And that 5 or 10 minutes, that's all the movement they need, because if they were in the wild, they might be in a burrow for days without moving much. That's just it's just the nature of being a reptile rather than being a mammal. It's also why they don't eat very often. They don't need all those calories, because number one, they're not moving around, and number two, they're not using calories to heat their body. So that's just the nature of being a snake. With snakes that are arboreal and semi-arboreal, I think it's more important to allow them to climb around and get an ab workout in, stuff like that. But it's still, for a snake, it's still much more important to get your feeding schedule right, as far as keeping them in shape. Have you ever gotten a snake that, like, you've bought a bunch of snakes for your business recently? Have you ever gotten one in that you look at it and just go, this snake has been overfed. This is too fat. Because I have a couple times.
Yeah, I don't think they've been overfed. One of the things I set out to do is to buy snakes from really reputable breeders.
Mm-hmm.
And so you kind of avoid overfeeding or underfeeding when you do that.
That's true. You're right. When you buy from somebody who really knows what they're doing.
I've definitely had girls that I've gone like, all right, you're gonna skip next week. You're gonna skip a couple weeks, and we'll even go a month. If I see that they're getting a little chunky or whatever.
Right.
And depending on where we are with breeding season, if we're like, I have one girl right now and she's just pounding food But she's not developing follicles.
Mhm.
And so like I'm like, are you a boy? Like I've like checked on all that.
Yeah.
But she's not getting too large, and so I'm letting her keep that feeding schedule. She sheds a lot, and so
Right.
You kind of have to read it snake by snake.
Yeah.
But like you
sure.
said, when they come in with the rolls and they're just
Yeah,
kind of lethargic or whatever, then like, yeah, we're gonna go on a little diet.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Okay. I think, did I just miss a super chat? Hang on. Yes, Cheyenne's. Hang on. We're going to get to in a second. I just want to scroll up and make sure I didn't miss any others. Nope. Okay. Cheyenne, thanks for the super chat. Hi, Bob and Spencer. No question. Just wanted to say thank you. Oh my gosh, that's so nice. Your videos have helped me overcome my fear of snakes and are so informative. Thank you. Oh, that's so nice. I love hearing that. I love when somebody tells me that they have overcome their fear of snakes. That's great. I got a message earlier today from somebody who just bought their first snake after overcoming a phobia of snakes. And that's cool. That really makes me happy. That's cool. I mean, look, if you're a fear of snakes isn't that important. It's not like it would be really important if somebody was afraid. Like I knew somebody in my past that was afraid to drive over bridges. They wouldn't, like, if their route had a bridge, that affects your life on a daily basis. You can't drive over a bridge. But I think fears in general, if you overcome a fear, any fear, it's a really cool thing, and it shows you that you can overcome fears. And when people have overcome a fear of snakes and then gotten to the point where they're not only not afraid of snakes anymore, like you, but now are keeping snakes, breeding snakes, that's really cool. It unlocks an enjoyable thing in your life. I love it. It's great. Okay. Tebby says, let's see, there's another one that I'm going to truncate a little bit. So Tebby's been watching the Suriname rescue videos where we're rescuing emeralds, and has decided that they want to get an emerald tree boa. Great choice. Do you have any thoughts on how to start that journey, finding the right breeder and so on? Saying that they want to do it right, captive born and bred animals, such like that. So yeah, the thing about animals like emerald tree boas, they have a very cult following. And as much as I don't like Facebook groups and Reddit groups, you can join some of those Facebook groups that are specifically emerald tree boa and just lurk and figure out that, because the really good breeders are in all those groups and they're showing off their animals and they're talking back and forth. So you still will see the drama that you see in the ball python groups, but you also will find out who the good breeders are. And then obviously check Morph Market, see who's on Morph Market, and do your research on them, look at their social medias and such like that. But there's a lot of good breeders of emeralds, and the northern emeralds are going to be cheaper. The basins are going to be very expensive. Very, like,
what makes them pricier?
Their basins are bigger than the northerns, for one thing, and they don't tend to be cranky. The captive born northerns have a reputation of being really bitey and cranky, but I think that we've proven in the wild that with working with these snakes for 20 minutes, we get a snake that I can hand to a child, and they're not. And we did. There's a video that I just put out where we did a education for the village, and we had children holding these wild northerns.
Wow!
And they were just like a tame snake. I think that people don't work with their northerns because they have the longest teeth of any non-venomous snake in the world, and you don't want to get bit by one. So if you just aren't that concerned, I'm never concerned about getting bit. Although I am a little bit more careful with the northerns, with the emeralds, but and I haven't gotten bit by one yet, I'd rather not. But I do want to work with them. So if I had one, I would work with it. I would try not to be scared of it and just work with the snake. But to answer your question, the basins, just out of the wild and just out of their mom, they come just They're fine.
Mhm.
You just handle them. They're probably not going to bite you ever,
Mm-hmm.
and they're highly sought after. So that is a snake that is thousands of dollars. I haven't looked recently, but my guess is that you're going to spend. Somebody tell me if I'm right. I'm going to guess that basin is going to be between $7,000 and $10,000, and it also depends on the pattern on their back.
Mm-hmm.
So a normal basin that's not special patterned is going to be $7,000. That's my guess.
Do the green tree pythons fit into that conversation, or are they just a totally different animal?
They're a totally different animal, but there are localities of green tree like the Biak that have a reputation for being more bitey than others, and they have big teeth too.
Sure.
That not as big as an emerald tree boa, but yeah. So price captive is $1,000 to $1,200. I bet it's $1,200 for that, and then $7,000 to $10,000 for a basin. So big difference.
Yeah.
Am I right, you guys? Am I on the mark with that? Somebody who knows, put it in the chat. Danielle, thanks for the super chat. Is the inspector in shed? Can he come play? He's not in shed. He can come out. He's being crazy lately. Except you know what? See where Echo is? I just don't want all that movement and activity right there because she'll come down and just strike at any kind of movement. Danielle, I will try to get him out later if I can. It's just not the right time with the reticulated python right above. So Tevi says 7 to 10 up to 30K depending for basin. Yeah. So I mean, if you get a really special one, you're going to pay way more even. But yeah, so 7 to 10 normally is what you're going to find. They have I forget what they call it, but they have like snow. I think it's called a snow pattern on the basins that's highly desirable. There's I don't remember what they're called, but anyway, you spend a lot on these snakes, just like any other snake. Okay, so here's one that I just saw about bioactive. Getting ready to do a bioactive this weekend. Cool. How much Gorilla Glue do you go through when you did your recent background? It's never nearly as much as I think I'm going to go through. You're going to put a light coating. It's not going to be that thick all over the back of that thing. And I got 2 big bottles last time, and I think I used half a bottle, maybe a quarter of a bottle. So don't get as much as I did because it's expensive when you get big bottles like that. Okay. Tevi, I hope that answered your question on finding the right northern emerald tree boa for you. They're such cool snakes. Highly recommend. Warrior Brute says, "Hey Bob, do you find that your snakes don't like the feeling of hair? Mine don't seem to want to go on leg hair with their heads, but they'll do it with their bodies." Yes, and beards sometimes, and grass. If the snake's not used to being on grass, their heads are very sensitive, and that's a weird feeling for them if they're not used to crawling around on something that feels like that. Do you have snakes that have an aversion to?
Bob, I'm going to be honest. I'm a manscaper.
Yeah.
So
so you're not okay.
My snakes don't know what that is.
Okay, all right. But what about just crawling on your head?
They don't seem to mind my hair.
Okay.
Sometimes with my wife has long hair. They'll be up around her neck. But usually those are the same. They're bigger girls that like to just hide anyway.
Yeah.
And so they like that.
Right.
But yeah, I haven't noticed that.
Okay.
With my snakes.
Yeah. I have with my beard, and I've always wondered, I don't know if it's a feeling of the beard or I have beard oil and there is a scent to the beard oil. So I don't know if it's that or the, But I have noticed if I bring my snakes out into the grass and they're not used to being on grass, because when I bring them outside, it's concrete and furniture and stuff. I'm not bringing them on grass unless I bring them to a park or something. So they're not used to it, and it is weird for them. Hey, do you want to see the pygmy python?
Yeah,
Do you want to see
this
this?
one.
Do you want to see the smallest python in the world?
In the world.
Yep, smallest species of python in the world. Look at this. We'll get her out with that.
Okay, a little strikey.
No, not strikey at all. But if I don't get her out with a hook, I've got to pinch her with my big fat fingers.
Oh.
Because she's so tiny. So a hook is just a nicer way to pull her out. Hi, little one.
Oh my goodness.
Look at this whole. Hold on, let me show the camera.
Wow.
That is a 9, maybe 10-month-old pygmy python.
How close is this to full grown?
Not very close. She will get. Have you ever seen a hatchling reticulated python right out of the egg?
Yeah.
She'll be that size, full grown.
Yeah.
So about 19 inches,
Yeah.
150 grams, something like that.
Wow.
She is currently 15 or 16 grams.
And what do you feed her?
She gets the smallest day-old pinky mice I can find,
Wow.
and micro lynx from Reptilink that are iguana micro lynx.
Because in the wild they'd eat lizards.
Yeah, they'd be eating, like, baby geckos are all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a good food source for them actually in the wild. And then as they get bigger, they'd be able to grab mice and stuff like that. But
Wow.
super smart, very well target trained.
Wow. Where are they in the wild?
In Australia,
Wow.
the Pilbara region of Australia. They're related to Stimson's pythons, children's pythons, spotted pythons, the Antaresia. So I think what we'll do once Spencer's done playing with her is we'll put her in her little custom play area in a minute. But let's see. Let me get to another question. We're on to another page, which means that we're on to the next. Okay, now we're on to Isla Scotches. Here, I'll do the pouring since you have Pip. Hand me your. So Spencer brought this, which is so nice.
We barely brought it.
Barely, because it almost didn't make it in his bag. This is Ardbeg, which is one of my favorites. And within the Ardbeg line, the Ugadal is my second favorite. My first favorite is the Korvreken, which is difficult to find. And it's expensive. But this Ugadal is lovely. Put in the chat if you've had Ardbeg Ugadal. Because even people who like Ardbeg and know it, they don't know the different ones. So,
Thanks, sir.
This is smoky campfire leather barbecue bacon, all wrapped up into a lovely glass of whiskey. Right?
I mean, compared to the last one we had, this is night
and day. Yes, night and day. Totally different. But you see what I mean about ruining your palate?
Mm-hmm.
Like if we had that first, we'd be done.
Yeah.
We couldn't taste anything else.
Just be bacon for the rest of the night.
Yeah. Justin, thanks for the super chat. Did you say Pip eats iguana meat? Tell us more about Reptilynx. Yes, Pip eats iguana meat. So Reptilynx is a company in the United States that makes sausages for reptiles. A lot of lizards eat them, and some snakes will eat them. Made of whole prey. So basically, if it's iguana, for instance, they're taking an entire iguana, bones, organs, everything, grinding it up into sausages. They also have, you can get rabbit, you can get quail, you can get. I when I have them, I try to get Mega Blend for my other snakes, like Echo here. Will take. In fact, last week she took a Mega Blend, and that is a combination of quail, guinea fowl, rabbit, bullfrog. And bullfrog is the only one that they don't use the whole animal. They're just using the frog legs. But everything else is whole animal. And you can have quail eggs mixed into that if you want. So it's pretty great. It's very healthy for them. In the case of like the Mega Blend, there's a ton of protein packed in, more so than a rat that would be at the same size. And with an iguana link, it's actually less protein. But if you have the type of snakes that regularly eat reptiles, it's good for them to have that. It's going to be less protein, less fat than they would get in something else. But it's good to get them eating that occasionally, because their bodies are not necessarily designed. If they're used to eating reptiles in the wild, they're not necessarily designed to be constantly pounding rats and mice and dealing with all that fat. Their digestive systems are made differently. So I talk about that a little bit in a video that's coming out on Monday.
We want to put her in her little playground.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Here.
She's so tiny.
So tiny, right? So we got a special playground for her, and it looks like that. And so we will just put her in there and let her cruise around a little bit. This is a display case. Many of you who have seen the live streams already know this, but for those who don't, there's a little display case that I bought. And hey, stay in, please. It's not airtight, so it's safe for her. Can you please stay in? Thanks.
Amy's checking up on you. Have you missed any super chats?
It's possible, Amy. We're going to check right now. Thanks for asking. Justin says no, he's super on it. All right. Have I really not? That's great. So we'll see how Pip does in there, and then I'll switch the camera. If no, I think we got all the super chats. So Pip's just going to move around in there. Let's do a double. Sorry, Spencer, you kind of cut out.
It's okay.
So I like Pip to have different experiences. I put different fake plants in there and stuff. There's that little cobra is in there right now. She's highly intelligent. It seems like she's almost reticulated python level of intelligence. She picked up on target training super fast. Until the other day, I had been able to say that, and I used to brag about this all the time, that Pip was the only target trained snake in the green room who had never struck at the target until last time I target fed her. She came out, she was very excited to get food, and she struck at the target. So she's not infallible apparently, but she is very smart. And normally what she does is she sees the target, comes right out of her hide and touches it with her nose, like Beeline does exactly what she's supposed to do, and then gets her food. Whereas most of my snakes, I struggle with them striking at the target about every other time I feed them, because they, in their brain they go, oh, that means food. I'm gonna strike at it. And these are snakes that would never strike at anything else that's not food, but they just know that target means food. So it's difficult to get them to shift their brain from food mode to thinking mode, and that's what we're asking them to do when we're target training them. Is they have to do a little bit of thinking, which is very hard to do for a snake that's in food mode. Like this one right here, it would be tough to get her to think right now because she is in food mode. Look at that. You can just see the tip of her nose hanging down. Oh, man. That Ardbeg is good. How does Handsome Dan do with target, or is he target trained? He is target trained. He strikes at the target a lot. So Handsome Dan, Handsome Dan has never been great at just coming up to the target and touching it. it's more of a food cue for him. What happens is as soon as he sees that target, he goes, oh, food, and he gets into an ambush position. And then it takes a while. If I want him to come up, he goes super slowly, and then occasionally he strikes at it. So it's more of a food cue for him. And I think, like, at this point, I kind of don't care if he follows it and touches it or whatever. I just want him to know that he's getting fed, and that's what's happening, you know. So I'm not going to be super picky with him anymore. Danielle, you need a tiny hat to wear for Pip. Yeah, Pip needs the smallest hat in the world. I agree. I've never been a hats on snakes kind of guy, but I feel like Pip would wear a hat well, you know.
Do you want any other stars of the show?
Yeah, grab whoever you want. Say who it is, and I'll tell you if they're in chat or not. Who's that?
Max.
Max, bring Max out. He's the handsomest. Okay. Now, Jamie's in. In now. Are you guys done with your? I just saw. Oh, there we go. Hi, Amy. Welcome. Glad you're here. Okay. Hog Strictures says, hey, Bob, I recently saw your hilarious US ARC video about Handsome Dan and saw you made a Green Room Python's Handsome Dan shirt. I'd love to buy that shirt, but it's not on your YouTube store. Any chance that shirt is making a comeback? You know what, David? I'm so glad that you asked this question, because as you found out when you asked it, it totally is on the store. I think that you just clicked on a thing that brought you to the other shirts. But under this video, for most of you, right under the video is the Green Room Python's spread shop store. And in that are a bunch of designs. And there's a couple designs that Amy Bentley did, by the way, that are Handsome Dan shirts. One said, they both say Handsome Dan is not a Python, but they're different designs. So, and they're cool. So check that out. And there's also the regular Green Room Python's logo shirts. There's sweaters, hoodies. There's a hat. There's mugs. All kinds of merch. If you want Green Room Python's merch.
I don't think I've met Max. Tell me about Max.
I'm going to tell you in a second, because Justin just said, I just bought a Green Room Python shirt. Handsome Dan shirts are definitely there. Yeah, nice. Glad you got one. Max is the inspector's son. So Danielle, that's you know, if I can't pull the inspector out, at least we got Maximilian here. He is, what is he? I mean, he's het pied. He's Lucille's son also, so he's 100% het pied. But he is Enchy, Orange Dream, Fire, Banana. Oh, he has Banana. He's Inchy, Orange Dream, Fire, Banana, Het Pied. I think that's it. But when he came out, Spencer, he looked like the color of a strawberry starburst.
Yeah.
His entire body was just pink.
Yeah.
And I thought, that is so crazy. I got to keep this snake and see how he turns. And he just colored up so beautifully.
Yeah, he still had a little blushy.
Yeah.
A little pinky.
A little bit in there. And he's getting his spots,
which
I didn't think he would get, because Inchy pulls out some of the spots.
Right.
But he's not a super Inchy. I guess if you're super Inchy, then you don't get spots. Okay, I'm going to take off this camera. There we go. I guess Pip is almost starting to do something interesting. If I notice her doing something interesting, we'll put the camera back on her so you can see. Danielle, I accept this. Max is a good inspector alternate. Yeah. Max is a beauty. Hold him up to the camera. It's really hard for the camera to pick up on his pattern and such. But he's a handsome boy, and he does not miss a meal. Well, that's a good shot. That's getting him. And he's so nice. Like, this guy has never been afraid of anything ever at any stage of his life. He's just curious and happy to wander around, which is great because his dad isn't. His dad's not like that. His dad hates me. His dad is very cranky with me.
You have a few bananas, don't you?
Yes, I do. I have Jenny Craig is banana. The inspector's banana. Max is. Thanks for the super chat. What was the very first ball python you fell in love with? Any special morph or snake? When I was before I got ball pythons, I think the first one where I went, whoa, that's really cool is clown. Just clown combos. When I really started looking into them, I was like, man, that's cool. And pied also, pieds and clowns were the ones that hooked me, I think. So cool. Hold on, here's another one. Doc Ship, thanks for the super chat. Hey Bob, where did you say you get your training targets from? I make them. I bought one once, and I can't tell you the site because it's hang on, I'm gonna show you one that I made. So this one here came from a site that sells training stuff for dogs mainly, but they also make these lollipop things. Here's Pip's target. This is the target for the little pygmy python. You guys remember my Christmas episode where I had Christmas balls in my beard? That's one of them. And I put it on an extender stick. So Pip has a tiny target. And then I have reflectors on sticks. They're easy to make. You just get something. It doesn't even matter what it is. You know what a lot of people use for targets, especially for like monitor lizards? They'll just show them their temperature gun. And that's, anything that the snake can recognize that they see that first and then they get food, that can be a target. So you don't have to buy them. You can make your own or just pick something. Take your mug, show them your mug, and then feed them. And eventually this mug becomes the target.
Bottle of Scotch.
That's got coffee in it. It's still warm. Yeah, bottle of Scotch. This is still warm from this morning. The Yeti mugs, you guys. Yeti. Not even a sponsor. Yeti mugs. Okay. Good question, Dog Ship. Thanks for that super chat. All right. Here we go. Here, I'll just show you. We got Pip, who has decided, you can't see. I wish I could zoom in and out, but I can't with this camera. But she has decided that the cobra is the spot to be. She's got her little head rested right there. That's her spot. I will continue to update you if anything happens. Okay. Here's Danielle, who's been super chatting. Here's her official question from Patreon. Let's see. Okay, so she's asking, this is a long question, but she's asking about respiratory infection. She got a ball python from a show. Turns out it had a respiratory infection. Such a bummer. Wondering what the inspector's healing process looked like. This was a few years ago. The inspector had a respiratory infection. What his healing process looked like as he started to recover. I can find little to no info on what people's experiences have looked like as their snakes have gotten better. So that's a great question, Danielle. And, I'll tell you, with the inspector, I noticed that he had a respiratory infection because I picked him up and fluid came out of his mouth or his nose or whatever. Almost like he had just drank some water and was spitting it out. But that wasn't the case. He definitely was showing me signs right then of a respiratory infection. That is when the respiratory infection gets pretty far. Like he had to have had that for a long time for it to get like that, because snakes just don't show their symptoms really. It's difficult to see the signs sometimes, and that's the same with them getting better. So what happens is when you have a snake with a respiratory infection, you take them to the vet and they get on an antibiotic. And usually the vet wants to see the snake in a week. Sometimes they will give you the antibiotic so that you can give it to the snake yourself. And some vets you have to do it there, and it may have to do with licensing or laws in the state or whatever. I don't know, but it's basically the vet will check on them and see how they're doing. They're going to open their mouth and see if it's red in there. The inspector didn't really, other than that one time that I picked him up, he wasn't really acting any different. So it's your vet. Your vet's going to tell you. Your vet's going to tell you. But they put him on a course of antibiotics, and that almost always knocks it out. As long as you didn't wait too long. As long as the respiratory infection isn't to the point where the snake is almost dead anyway because of it. You catch it in time. Have you had to deal with that with any of your snakes?
Yeah, we had, because it's hard. Like you said, they don't show symptoms. And so, there'll be a few times, maybe a handful of times over the last several years where a snake will be whistling or wheezing. And I'm kind of like, okay, what is that, And so I'll separate them from the other snakes and watch them. And sometimes it's just like a stuck shed. And they have like a little
in their nose
or something.
Yeah.
But we had one snake that I bought him as an adult, and I didn't know his history, but he got a respiratory infection, and we took him to the vet. And in our state, up in Idaho, the vets, because they deal with a lot of cattle and stuff like that.
Yes, they do.
There are, what do they call them? I think they call them livestock programs. Well, they'll be like, hey, how many animals do you have? And we'll give you like this special rate to take care of all of your animals. And so it's kind of like a herd rate. So they can do that for us, which is really cool.
Man, that's really cool. I wish the vets here did that.
Yeah, they're super great. But this one snake, he got over his respiratory infection. They sent the antibiotics home with me, so I had to give him shots, which, the first time was awful. But got used to it. But then he was a snake that he was just prone to them. And so he'd get them like every few months.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, it was really sad. And eventually, he just couldn't overcome them.
Yeah.
But catch them early if you can. And like Bob said, give them to your vet ASAP.
Yeah. Joe, thanks for the super chat. Is it best to handle ball pythons at night? They're awake more at night. I wouldn't say necessarily. I mean, I tell people that it's probably not good to be waking your snake up all the time in the middle of the day when it's curled up in its hide asleep. You wake it up to pull it out and play with it. Do that occasionally. It's fine because look, they sleep 20 hours a day anyway, right? Or more. But it's when I wake up super early in the morning, and if the inspector is out, I pull him out. So I almost never am pulling him out of his hide. I'm catching him when he's up and out. And that's a good thing to do, I think. But it's also not terrible if you occasionally pull them out of their hide to check on them or to handle them. Just don't do it every day.
Do you feed your snakes at night?
I do usually. Like I'm going to. I have a lot of snakes to feed tonight after this. Actually, we're going to go to dinner, and then I'm going to feed snakes. But I feed some during the day. Most of them will eat during the day. Depends on what I have going on. Justin, Danielle Champion and I want GRP Scotch glasses. You know what? I've looked into it. I've looked into these Glencairn glasses. I got this. It says Green Room Pythons on it right here. I don't remember where I got it. I got two of them and broke one. I don't remember where I got them, and they were. I think I paid $30 for these, if I remember right. They were expensive. And then last time I was at Amy's house, we looked at, because Amy does, she has a business where she prints t-shirts. So she's got a line to all the companies that print anything. And we looked into Glencairn glasses, and they were super expensive to do because I wanted to make them available to people, but they're just not. Maybe I'll look into it again and see if I can find something else. But it was ridiculously expensive to have Green Room Pythons Glencairn glasses. But I would love to have these and make them available to those of you who drink Scotch. I love a Glencairn glass. I have many of them, and they're really nice for tasting whiskey for nosing, and they're just great. Okay, have I missed any super chats? I don't think so. I think we've done really well on these. I bet since Amy's in the chat right now, I bet she's keeping up on it.
Got a new one there.
It's from Danielle saying the same thing. Thanks, Danielle. Bob, we want green room Scotch glasses. We want them for snakes and Scotch nights. You know what? Hold on. Look at this, you guys. Hang on. Where's this one? Okay. This is, so Spencer. So here's the thing. I only looked at Glencairn glasses, but this is a glass that Spencer gave me. This is his logo for the Royals project. It's like a, is it a whirlpool? What is it? What do you call it?
So it's one of the African symbols for royalty.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's what it is?
Yeah.
That's so cool. Can you see it better?
It looks like a bullseye.
It does kind of, yeah. But you got that on the bottom. How expensive was that?
So my sister actually made those.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, not too expensive.
Right, because she did it. Does she do business?
We could make her do that for a business.
Dude, maybe we just do rocks. I always drink out of a Glencairn, but I like a rocks glass. Maybe
half of this stuff would have been great in the rocks glass.
Yes, for sure. Maybe we do these glasses and put the logo on the bottom.
Yeah.
But I want to talk to your sister. Okay. We're figuring this out, you guys. Dezu Masuku _87. You see how good I am at saying that name now? Got plans for another herping session with Patreon members anytime this year? And if so, are you going to keep them in SoCal or maybe Central Cal? Oh, that's not a bad idea, actually. I hadn't thought about just doing one that's a little bit further out from me. Yes, I am planning. I don't know about this year, first of all. There's a lot of stuff going on right now as far as my travel, and something just came up today that I will announce later. Patreon knows about, but I don't want to announce yet. It has to do with travel. I do want to do more of those herping events. We're going to do them in different parts of the country. And I will say, I'll say this because it's a year away. I was talking to Dave Kaufman on the phone yesterday. And I said, look, Dave Kaufman talks for a very long time on the phone, which I appreciate because it's always interesting. He's not boring, but we have long phone conversations if we get on the phone. I said, listen, I want to take my Patreon supporters to southern Minnesota. Am I saying that right? Now I'm questioning the state. Minnesota, where Dave's from. Anyway, I think that's right. I said, I want to do a herping trip because Dave knows where he can go and find rattlesnakes. He can go and find anything immediately. I said, I want you to be our guide when we do this. And he goes, great. He goes, I'm totally up for that. I knew he would be. And he goes, the only problem is right now is the time to do it. May is the time to be there. So we're going to do it a year from now in May. But anybody in the Midwest that wants to do a herping trip, we're going to make Dave Kaufman be our guide because he knows that area so well. I think it'll be fantastic. We're going to rent an Airbnb, maybe a couple, depending on how many people. It's going to be amazing. And I will announce other in-person herping trips or just in-person meetups, on Patreon as we do that. So jump on patreon.com/greenroompythons if you want to be involved in that. But Central California is a great idea though. And I'm gonna mull that around. Amy Bentley, you could look, I appreciate the super chat, but you could just text me. I'm not paying attention to super chats. I'm cleaning your wing of my house. Are you here yet? I'm not here yet.
You have a wing.
I do have a wing of her house when I go there. It is the dogs. The dogs love me, which boosts my self-esteem more than anything. That Amy's dogs absolutely love me, and when I leave, they sneak into the guest room and hang out in my bed.
Oh,
yeah, because it smells like my beard oil.
Yeah.
They miss me. Yeah, it's so sweet. She has the sweetest dogs. Okay, Amy, that's right. You know what? Spencer and I are doing a pretty good job at paying attention to super chats.
We're trying.
And I expect that the people will tell me if I miss one. Not that I see all the messages from everybody, but I mean, Jen, are you talking about the Snake Road migration? I'm in. I mean, yes, that's not what I was talking about, but if there's, I mean, I think I saw a video on this that there's like a road where, yeah, Jen, if you know where this is, sure, we'll do that. We'll talk about it. I like it. Thanks for that super chat. Okay. I gotta hold on. I still have. Okay. All right. So that was the hell. All right. Wendy also says, what book would you most likely to see made into a movie series? And would there be a part in it that you would cast yourself in? What about the two Amy's and Dave? What parts would suit them?
Wow.
That's a big question.
It's huge.
I have a great answer for it, though. I have a book right here that I would definitely turn into a movie. This book is the Audubon Society Field Guide to North American Reptiles and Amphibians. It happened to be right here. I would turn this into a movie, and here's my casting. I obviously would be the herper that would go through and find all these. By the way, this is the book that has the best photographs of all the North American. So I would be the herper that would find all of these. The two Amy's would be maybe some of these cute salamanders. They would each be a different cute little salamander. Dave Kaufman would play he would be the bumbling field agent that thinks that I'm trapping these animals for exportation, but I'm obviously not. But he's after me in the movie. I'm the one taking the nice photos of them. That's all I'm doing. But he thinks that I'm illegally exporting them. But he's bumbling, so don't even worry about it. I'm going to be fine.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. I'm gonna start writing that script. Okay. Let's see here. Let me grab this super chat. Joe, thanks for that super chat. My 8-month-old Corn is super skittish. I've been trying to have as many neutral, good interactions as possible without stressing her out. Should I wait till she's older to properly socialize her? That's a good question. Not necessarily. I mean, Bluebirds can be like this, depending on the individual. I would say I wouldn't. It's not like you go hands off until they're older and then go hands on, because it's going to be harder for you. I would just say that this is going to take a long time. It just takes patience, but still work with them. Work with them on a fairly regular basis. Not so much that stressing them out too much, though. So maybe once or twice a week, make sure that they have plenty of security in their cage, so they're feeling good. And then it's just patience. These are reptiles. Reptiles are not wired to be living with hairless monkeys. We are giant monsters to them. They want nothing to do with us in the wild. So to keep one in your home and live with them and regularly interact with them, that's a really scary thing. And some of them get over it quickly and they go, oh, this thing's okay. And others are like, I don't want anything to do with this thing ever. And it just takes a long time. So it sounds like you got a snake that takes a long time. Right?
I thought that was a jab at my manscaping.
It was not a jab at your manscaping. Not at all. Look at this. Amy agrees. That's so Dave. The bumbling field agent. Yeah. You guys, you're just making this live stream so much longer with your super chats, but I appreciate them. I don't mind going long. Spencer, you probably don't mind going long.
I got nowhere to go.
No, we're going to have dinner after this eventually, but we're okay. And we're going to walk to dinner, by the way. There's a nice restaurant right down. We're not even driving to dinner after this whiskey tasting. Here we go. Dragon. Thanks for that super chat. I found the bioactive video where you don't recommend dairy cow isopods for your enclosure after I bought the BioDude kit. Keep or discard. You know what? Use whatever isopods you want. When I did that video, that was the first video on this channel, I think, is the one you're talking about. The very first one that I did was when I was building that isopod. And I had done a bunch of research, and I found somewhere that said that larger isopods could potentially chew on your snake. At this point, I don't think that's true. I've never heard of anybody actually saying that isopods chewed on their snakes. And I just put larger isopods in here. I may have lost my colony of dwarf isopods because I couldn't find. I spent about a week looking for them. Every day I'd be digging for them. I just couldn't find them. They might be way underneath, but I don't think so. So I got some larger isopods and put them in there. And I think it's fine. I wish that you could edit a video after you've put it up on YouTube, but you can't. But that bit of information I don't think is accurate at this point. I thought it was at the time that I did it. But I don't think you know what? If anybody has ever had isopods chew on their snake, please put it in a comment so that I can know. But I've never heard of it since the first time that I read about it, that somebody's saying they could possibly do it, but they weren't even saying that it had happened to them. You know what I'm going to do before... Here, look at this. I got little Pip just sort of sitting there right now. So I kind of feel like she's just going to sit there. She explored quite a bit, but she's not. She oftentimes climbs up to the top. Well, no, I can't even get the thing open. She oftentimes climbs up to the top and cruises all over. She doesn't really seem to be into that right now. I got all kinds of problems here. Be right with you, folks. I don't know why that was such a problem. Hey, little one. All right. I'm going to put her back. But do you want to see Pip again before I put her back? Spencer, cover your face with your hands. Let's see if it... Nope, it didn't work. It still didn't do it. All right. Sorry, guys.
If only that was the first time I was asked to do that.
Common thing? Common request?
You cover your face, please.
Okay. So Pip is crawling back in. Man, she's doing so good. What a cool snake to have. And I will say this. This is a very specific thing that I get out of having a snake like Pip. I love to handle snakes and have them around my neck and such. Pip will never be that for me. But the fascination of having this snake that's fairly rare to have in as a pet, for one thing, but also just such a tiny animal with such clear intelligence is really cool to watch. It's like it's cool. But definitely, you definitely get something different from a snake like that. That's never going to be big enough to be like a really big handling snake. You know what I mean? Okay. We're getting back to this. Okay, here we go. Justin says, not snake related, but am I to understand that you, Bob, were in an episode of Parks and Rec and Grey's Anatomy? Yes, you are to understand that. This comes up occasionally in live streams when people see me on a show or something. I was on those shows. One episode, little small roles. One episode each of those. Follow up. You're from Spokane, Washington. Not far from where I am, Lewis and Clark Valley. Nice. Yes, I am from Spokane originally, which is very close to where you live, Spencer, in Post Falls, Idaho. Basically, right? I mean, you drive from Spokane into Post Falls, Idaho, and it doesn't feel like it's any different. It's the same. You know, there's a state line, but it doesn't feel like you've left one town and moved. You know, you go from the Spokane Valley into Post Falls, and it's all one thing, kind of. P.S. I spend too much time on the internet movie database on IMDb. I swear I wasn't stalking you. I get it. I get it.
I get it.
IMDb is a cool thing to search. All right. Bug and Pop says, first question. Hi, how are you? How have you been? How's family? That's my answer to that one. Good. Everything's good. How many hats do you own is the second one. Well, let's see. I have 4 hats on the wall, 1 on my head. Those are of my like cool hats. I would say cool hats. But then I have countless hats in the closet. Just
Do you own more snakes or hats?
Snakes. I don't know. I keep almost 30 snakes. I don't have nearly that many hats. I don't think. I bet I have between 10 and 15 hats. That's my guess. And then third question, out of all the movies, TV shows you've been in or a part of, what was your favorite people to work with? So my favorite projects, as far as movie, and I've said this before on a live stream, this question comes up a lot too. Not a good movie, but it was really fun because it was about dolphins. I'm seeing that the this thing is saying that the signal is low, so it might be chopping my this always happens when I'm telling a joke, when I'm trying to say something funny. It screws up the thing. But anyway, so Dolphin Island was fun because we were with dolphins all the time. Like, it was a movie where I got to work with dolphins. I did a ton of snorkeling. I did a ton of fishing. I did a ton of swimming with dolphins.
So your favorite people to work with are dolphins?
Are dolphins. Those are my favorite people to work with. And I will say this as a brag. I once did a commercial. So here's the thing with commercials and A-list actors. You're never going to see an A-list actor in a commercial in the United States, but you will see them in commercials in Asia, because there's a thing where they don't want to lower their A-list level to do a commercial that's going to be seen in a market like the United States. But Asia will pay them millions of dollars, almost as much as they would make on a movie, to do a commercial that'll just run in China or something. So I did a commercial. I wasn't paid that much. I got SAG scale rate to be in a commercial with George Clooney. He was playing himself, George Clooney. It was a Mercedes commercial. He was driving a Mercedes, and I was paparazzi who was bugging him, like leaning in his window, bugging him. And George Clooney was such a cool guy. And it might be that he's such a big A-list actor and he was cool that it made such an impression on me. But also, I noticed that, like, when he walked into the room, I think even if he wasn't George Clooney and you didn't know who he was, you would go, whoa, that guy is really important. Who is that guy? And it's not just his looks. It's like just this thing that he has. It's what makes these big stars, that they just, there's a thing where everybody turns and goes, oh my gosh, what's this person up to? So, and he definitely had that. So that was kind of cool. Got to work with George Clooney for a minute in a little commercial for China. The other TV shows that I enjoy doing are I've done a lot of Nickelodeon and Disney shows, and those are always fun because I'm there for a week, only a week, so you're not in the show really, but everybody's kind of happy usually and having fun. It's a kid's show. Everybody's just, there's not a lot of stakes. Now, those shows also have been shown to be very problematic especially for the kids. There's a documentary out right now about Nickelodeon shows. I haven't seen the documentary yet, but I want to see it. But I was not involved in that level because I was hired as a co-star or a guest star on one episode of Hannah Montana or Jessie or Big Time Rush or whatever, and I'm there for a week. So I'm never going to see any of the crazy stuff. But it's fun because it's a kid's show, and everybody's just having fun, and nobody's stressed out and yelling at people, and it's nice. All right, so that's that. Amy Bentley has questions for you, Spencer.
For me?
Yep. Here we go. I have several questions for Spencer. Number one, what is your favorite ball python morph?
That's a hard question.
Or maybe combo. Is there a combo?
So I think right now, Amy, this is going to change in like 3 days. Right now, I think my favorite combo is chocolate spot nose, which is the Dark Knight. So we have a few of those coming out this year, hopefully.
Cool.
We're real excited about. But I think it creates such a drastic change to the original pattern of a ball python. It's really cool. But I think if I had to pick one gene, I think it's Ultramel. I think there's a lot that hasn't been done with Ultramel. And so I want to get into that. We have a few projects. We have a lot of, we have some Ultrapide stuff and some Ultramel pavement stuff and highway stuff that's coming out this year. Some asphalt stuff.
Cool.
And so I think Ultramel is probably, like, just when I look at a snake, I have one Ultramel girl that's a single gene Ultramel, and she's the most beautiful snake in my collection. Just
right?
She's
beautiful. They're amazing. Ultramel.
Oh yeah.
I bet there is. Whoops, wrong. I bet there are people here that don't know Ultramel, that are just casual ball python people, or maybe casual green room pythons people. Here's an Ultramel. Molly is het for pied and het for hypo, but just visually, just an Ultramel. And man, what a cool snake, right? Molly Malone. She is breeding this year with Captain Farrell, and I just pulled the captain out of her tub this morning.
What are his genes?
He is pied, possibly het Ultramel, and I'm really hoping he is, and I haven't shed tested him because I want the surprise of the eggs. She is Ultramel, 100% het pied, and possibly het hypo. He is pied, possibly het Ultramel, and 100% het hypo. So we have the potential of all three genes in the mix, but we don't know.
Shoot.
And I could shed test both of them if I wanted to, but I don't because I just want to be surprised when those eggs hatch. Yeah. Yeah. But how pretty is Molly Malone, you guys, right? Such a beauty.
She's pretty.
Yeah. All right. So that's Amy's got a number of questions for you. I hope you're ready for this.
I can't wait to meet Amy.
Yeah, right. She's pretty cool. What is this is a good question. What is the best coffee? And also, what is the best way to brew coffee? What's your now hold on. What is the best coffee? That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
You get locality coffees, right?
Yeah, so we import coffees from all over the world. Indonesia, Africa, Central, South America. Right now, Bob has a bag of Burundi.
Oh, you brought me Burundi. So this is Wilder Coffee Roasters.
Yeah. So this is we started roasting coffee. I'm going to answer this the long way. I started in the coffee industry in 2009. I met Bob in the coffee industry in 2010-ish.
Yeah, I bet it was.
I was a barista at this coffee shop in my town, and Bob was just sitting there on his laptop. And
I was writing a script, and I was coming in every day.
Every day.
Because I was staying at my parents' for the winter, either the summer or the winter. I think it was the winter. Yeah. So I was hanging out at my parents' place for like a month or a month and a half or something in the middle of the winter, and I was going to Thomas Hammer Coffee every day. Yep. Right, working on the script.
And okay, correct me. Were you on a late night show? Did you do stand up on a late night show?
I did.
Back in the day?
I did a lot of sketches on Jay Leno.
So Bob walks in and I recognize you. I'm like,
from Jay Leno?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was on there a lot. I did like 11 or 12 sketches on Leno.
And so that's how we started talking. And then about 7 years ago, I started roasting coffee. And
Like just insulting it.
Just started giving it some jabs. Started my own thing, roasting coffee, and got really into it. And now it's my livelihood besides snakes.
So cool.
But yeah, so if I had to pick one coffee, Amy, if I was on a desert island and could only drink one for the rest of my life, I think it would have to be Guatemalan. I think that's just a great everyday drinker. You get some fruit, you get a lot of chocolate, a lot of caramel. It's a solid coffee. The best way to brew coffee, I'm going to be a snob and say espresso is probably the best way to brew it because you can do so much with espresso. So I guess that's cheating. Right?
But okay, but if I just want a cup of regular coffee, are you saying that I brew espresso and then add extra water to it?
Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah. Maybe.
Okay. Which is an Americano, right?
Correct. That is an Americano. Then again, I mean, pour over is, if I'm going to make coffee at home, it's usually pour over.
Me too. Well, that's not true. I do that coffee pot. But if I want to make good coffee, I do a pour over. And you gave me a cool pour over thing.
Yeah.
I have some, but you gave me a cool ceramic one. You know that I roast coffee too, right?
Yep.
I have. The thing is, it's a lot to get all your stuff out and do it. If you do it as a hobby, it's a big deal. So I buy 8 pounds at a time, and each pound is a different locality. And I think the last time I purchased 8 pounds was maybe a year and a half ago. And I have 6 pounds still in there of green coffee, because green coffee beans don't go bad. So you can just.
So next time you need to buy green coffee, just text me and I'll just send you green coffee.
Okay. All right. I'm up for that. I love it.
That's hilarious.
That's cool. Okay. Good answer. I like it. I like talking coffee. Coffee's
delicious.
Yeah. Coffee's a hobby of mine too. Okay. Number 3 question. What extreme sport do you think Bob would be exceptionally talented at if he had time for extreme sports? And she says juggling flaming battle axes doesn't count.
I think you'd be like a mountain bike sleeper. Like we'd all just go up there and be like, all right, come on, Bob. And then you just show us all up.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Bring my bike and you're like, what's this fat guy doing?
Yeah. And then you're just like, up the mountain, down the mountain.
Yeah.
And just like, shoot.
Okay. I like that idea.
Bob can ride.
I like that thought.
That's all nature-y.
Yeah.
So you're out there?
Yeah.
You love it.
I have in the past done a lot of rock climbing.
Oh, interesting.
Which you wouldn't guess with my physique. But
rock climbing's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. And do you know the cliffs in Idaho in Post Falls that everybody climbed? I've climbed those a lot.
What the heck?
Yeah. I love them. They're so cool.
Because
it's such a beautiful area and they're all top roped. So you can easily get to the top, hook up your rope, and go. I've taken my kids climbing there when they were like 4 years old.
Wow.
They were climbing those cliffs in Post Falls. It's great. Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Last question. I think last question. Oh, the inspector's being crazy. You know what?
You take him out?
I can take him out now because he's right by this door. Let's do it. Danielle super chatted this.
He just falls out.
Boom. We got him. We got the inspector. Made it really easy. Okay, last question. If you had the choice between having a prehensile tail or feathered wings, what would you choose? I know what I would choose. Easy.
So for a long time, I would say tail, but then I went skydiving a few years ago.
Oh, that's cool.
And I think I'd have to go with wings.
Yeah.
Now, is she talking about wings that replace your arms or wings like...
She just says feathered wings. So...
I'd want my arms still.
Yeah.
But if I had wings, I'd rather have wings than a tail.
Yeah. I don't think that the addition of wings means that you lose your arms.
Right.
But I do think that the addition of tail, you lose your butt. So that's...
Makes things complicated.
It really does. Yeah.
Have to do a few remodels in your house.
Right. Yeah. Great questions, Amy. Okay, we are on to the last page, and it's only a few questions on this last page.
That means the last 4, yeah.
And we're on to the last 4, and I didn't think we would get to this one, but this is the Ardbeg Wee Beastie. So we just had the Ardbeg Ugadal, which is one of their higher end of the normal line. I forget what you call it, but the stuff that's available every year. They have Ugadal. They also do special editions each year that's different. But the Wee Beastie is the least expensive Ardbeg that you can find. You can get it for under $60 a bottle. But it is lovely. And if you just want to taste what really smoky Islay Scotch tastes like, the Wee Beastie is the way to go. It's not as complex as the others. You're not going to get a whole ton of different flavors, but what you will get is a massive hit of bacon, barbecue, leather, that really peaty, smoky situation. We save these till the last because they do ruin your palate. When you drink them, they stay with you all night long. Okay. Janica says, I've got 3 snakes now, a Brazilian rainbow boa, a BCI, and a ball python. The BCI is a lady, and the others are gentlemen. That's great. Should I expect them to show breeding behavior in the future, even though they're different breeds? They were born in August through October of last year, so they're not there yet, but I thought I'd ask. Okay, so first of all, breeds, a lot of times people use the terminology breeds, which is interesting. It's breeds are usually we refer to cats and dogs, but a species, what we're talking about is different species, but technically the morph of a ball python would be considered a breed. So this is a banana ball python, which is a different breed from an ultramel ball python. We just don't call them breeds, we call them morphs. But within, a breed just means within a single species, you've got different looks, different traits, like a dog or a cat breed. But with these species, you definitely have different species here. And I was trying to think if I've ever seen a rainbow boa and a BCI breed together, but I don't think so, because rainbow boa is Epicrates genus, and BCI is the boa genus. They're both boa family, but different genus. I don't think they can breed together. But anyway, the point being, aside from all that, no, you're probably not going to see breeding behavior. You will see different behavior as your snakes get older and they go through different stages of life. That's normal, but it's not because there's other snakes around, necessarily. So you'll see different behavior just because your snakes are growing.
What hybrid breeds do we have out there that are common?
Common, like a ball python and a Burmese python.
What's that called? A super ball?
Is that the angry ball? Is that what that is? I might be wrong. Put it in the comments, you guys, because I don't remember. I don't pay enough attention, but I think the angry ball is a ball python and a Burmese. Can
you do a ball and a blood?
Yes. Yes. I'm sure you can. You've got to be able to. I'm sure it's been done. Ball pythons, blood pythons, reticulated pythons, Burmese pythons, I think can all breed together. I think. Burn ball, Erica says. Burn ball. Yeah. What's the angry ball? And what's a hang on. Angry ball is a ball python and Angolan python. Yeah. Right. That makes sense.
That kind of has the textured scales.
Yes, Angolan pythons are so cool. They look just like ball pythons, but they're not. They're bigger and they have really crazy what do you call the textured scale? Keeled scales. And beautiful patterning. So yeah, anyway, there's a bunch of mixes. Generally, when you crossbreed like that, that's not the word that I'm looking for, but that's okay. I'm several whiskeys in. The resulting snakes are sterile, right? So you're
like
not going to,
right?
Yeah, it's like a mule. It's like a mule is what, a horse and a chicken breeds together and gets a mule. I think
is donkey?
Something like that. Yeah, they're sterile, but cool looking, All right, Taylor says. First, she says, did I already ask this question? I don't think you've asked this before, Taylor.
Do you have snakes that as hatchlings are curious, always wanting to explore and super social? Fast forward to them getting to about a year old mark and become very reclusive, staying in their hides and sleeping all the time, overall not wanting to socialize as much. I would love both of your inputs. My input is yes, absolutely. That is super common that happens. Bear is like that. Who else? I have several that are like that, and all I can think of right now is Bear that has done that. Yeah, I'll say it if I think of it. But yes, I've seen it happen a number of times. But this is the thing: is as snakes grow, as they change their personality, they're getting older. There's going to be personality things that change it, and even though they are used to you, and they know that you mean them no harm, they're probably not going to go from being super social like that to all of a sudden being defensive. But they definitely can go from being social as a baby and crawling out onto your hand to deciding that they don't really want to crawl out onto your hand and they'd rather just sit in their hide. Have you had that experience?
Yeah. I think personality, quote unquote, really plays into it. I've had snakes that come out of the egg and they're the most docile thing, and then they get a taste for blood and they're just like always hungry. They're always ready to eat, always looking for something.
So not a taste for blood in that they're defensive and they want to be defensive, but
they've tasted blood.
Yeah.
I will say it's probably just coincidence, but every snake I get from one large breeder is very not social. Baby, adult, every one of them is just like what they're just not friendly.
Yeah.
But yeah, having personalities change like that, it's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
It's definitely a thing. I think just, whether they get used to hiding and just chilling out and they don't want to be held as much, And granted, I have, I think right now we're at 56 snakes. So to give each snake the time to get accustomed to being held and all that, you're not going to accomplish what a lot of people want to accomplish with their pet snake.
That's right. Yeah. The inspector just being curious. I like this behavior from him. He's not trying to leave, which he often is. He's just he's good with my hat. Okay. We're down to the last set of questions from the Harpers. I feel like we often come down to the Harpers last. I think Amy throws the Harpers down last. They are one of my longest supporters. They jumped on Patreon at the very beginning and have supported me at the maximum level possible all the time, and I really appreciate them. And Keith Harper is the dungeon master for the D&D games that happen in Discord for our Patreon. We have Patreon only Dungeons and Dragons games DM'd by Keith Harper that happens in the Discord. We have secret channels in Discord for our Patreon supporters because they're special. All right, here we go. Keith and Mary ask, we know that you don't mix species when letting your snakes free roam. Is this a blanket rule, or are there species that can free roam together without issues? That's a great question. I believe that most of these species would do just fine if I decided to let them free roam together. I just don't, because I feel like they wouldn't meet in the wild normally. And maybe some of them, like the reticulated pythons, are a little bit more hungry than the others. I would never let my black-headed python roam with other snakes because that's a snake eater. But in general, I think they would all get along. But I just don't. For me, I just don't do it. It's easy for me to keep them separated, Have you any views or experience with blood pythons? I love blood pythons, and I've handled them before, but I don't really have experience in keeping them. They have a reputation for being bitey. However, I've seen many keepers that tell me that reputation is not necessarily deserved. And, these are people that probably work with their snakes. The thing about a blood python is they are big, fat, not long, but thick, fat, super strong snakes. So if you take a bite from a blood python, it will be significant. They'll hit you like a Mack truck, I think.
Does Cusco work with those? Does he have a couple?
He might. Yeah, it's possible. I like blood pythons. They're cool. I don't know that I'll keep one. They're just big, fat.
They're super pretty.
Really pretty. Some of those morphs are really cool. Okay. Last question, you guys. From the Harpers. With our snakes having proved to be a hit with the local scout troops, they have been invited to visit the cubs, beavers, the squirrel troops too. Oh my gosh. So you guys, they're in England, and I love that in England they have, because we have Boy Scouts and cubs, but I don't think we have beavers and squirrel troops.
No, we have tigers.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Oh, so cute, beavers and squirrel troops. With progressively younger kids expected to attend, which got us thinking, how young is too young for a child to meet a python? Or are they good to go from birth? That's a great question. So here's my opinion. Having introduced many snakes to many children, I think that when the child is young enough to not have a memorable experience, it's probably not worth it. You might as well show them your dog or your cat or whatever. If the child is a 3 or 4 year old, maybe could have a memorable experience. And it also depends if you're talking about a 3 or 4 year old. It depends on their personality. Are they able to grasp your instruction? That is, you have to be calm and slow, breathe heavily. Breathe deeply, not heavily. Breathe deeply. And we're just going to be relaxed. I have a talk with a child like that before I hand them the snake, because I don't want them to be not in a fearful way, but a lot of times in a very excited way. I just want them to know that they got to relax. So I think old enough to have a memorable experience is good. Otherwise, show them your dog. I got the inspector crawling into the back of my shirt right now, and Cody super chatted, and we should see if I've missed any, because I don't know that I've been looking. Cody, thanks for that super chat. Says, "Wow, you're still alive." Yes, I am. Or yes, we are. 2 hours and 37 minutes. We got to end this soon, you guys. Have I missed any super chats? Is my question. I'm going to scroll up a bit. But she did. I almost missed Amy's super chat. How ironic would that be? That I miss the person who checks the super chats for me, and I miss hers. Bring Spencer with you. I'll make sure the other guest room is ready. Okay. So Amy wants you to come on the trip with me. Okay. Wait, did we get Danielle's? Hang on. Where'd it go? Just scroll past it. Oh, Danielle. Oh, I have missed some. Glad we're getting to these. Danielle says, dolphins are the best. I volunteered with the Texas Stranding Network for years. Stranding. I don't know what stranding is. I have to look that up. Stranding Network for years. Such a good experience. Support the local stranding networks, y'all. Okay, I got to find out what that is. I know nothing about that. Have I missed any others? Are you looking too? Or are you looking on your phone?
Yeah, I'm looking.
I think I got them all. Last live stream, I ended it, and Amy and I realized that we had missed its super chat, and I can't think of who that was off the top of my head right now, but I apologize. Such a bummer. Joe Lass asks, is the inspector full grown? The inspector is an adult technically, but snakes do grow their entire life. So he's about as big as a male, He's like, how old is he? He's 5 years old, maybe, something like that. 6 years old. Yeah. I have males that are full grown that are smaller than he is. Dude, come on. Okay. And I give my snakes, I feed them a small rat. They don't get anything bigger than a small rat. They get a small rat every 2 weeks. And the inspector sometimes goes off food. So occasionally during the year, if he's been off food for a while, I'll feed him once a week. But I'm not trying to fatten him up. He's in good shape. He's got a good body condition. He moves around a lot. And he's been off food lately. So we're going to, tonight, I'm going to try to feed him a mouse. But he's got a lot of muscle tone because he does move around a lot. So you can see that. He's definitely not a slug. And I'm going to put it back. I'm going to let him.
When your males breed, do you find that they go off of food sometimes?
Sometimes they'll refuse food, but not for too long. The inspector is the only one that has ever gone off food for an extended period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't do it every season, but he does do it occasionally. He ate a mouse a couple weeks ago. I tried to feed him last week, and he refused. I think he'll probably take one this week. We'll see. Danielle, thanks for all these super chats. Dolphin rescue. Okay, that's what that is. The dolphin rescue. That's great. That's where when we filmed in the Bahamas, we filmed Dolphin Island in the Bahamas, and that was a dolphin rescue. They had dolphins that had been wild caught in like the 1970s and had been used for dolphin shows, and now they're just at this rescue, and that's
Wow.
The dolphins that we used for that movie, and they were so cool and so well trained, and like they get this command that they swim right next to you. And they're with you the whole time. They'll never leave your side. And you dive underwater and you can hear their echolocation. You can hear them doing their thing because that's how they maintain their exact next to you. Incredible. Cool. Queen, I love that username. Thanks for the super chat. My 1-year boa only wants to hang out at the top of his cage between the lip of the wall and the top of the cage. Will he eventually utilize this habitat? Yeah, eventually. But, sometimes they like to do that. And I'll tell you a story about the inspector that I just put away. Let me look at these. I've got texts right now, and I want to make sure that they're not from Amy telling me that I missed something. Oh, they are from Amy. Hold on. She says, I wouldn't have even noticed that you missed my super chat. Good thing Spencer is there. And then it was DJI Fly's super chat that we missed last time. DJI Fly, so sorry that we missed that super chat. We usually don't, but what was I? Oh, okay. So the inspector, you guys may have seen a short that I put up on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or whatever. That he was hanging out on this light all the time. He decided that it took him a long time to find it, but eventually, after months of living with this light, he would go up and just hang out around it and just hang until he fell. And he would do it constantly. And so I put this short up, and Clint at Black Box Cages watched the short, and he sent me a message. He goes, you need to put a cage around that light. So he sent me a cage, and I put it around there. So now he's not hanging out on it anymore. But they do like to squeeze themselves into things, we're done with that. Did we get all the super chats? We did. All right, we're at the end of this. Is there any snake that you guys want to see before we go? And I might tell you no because I have a number of snakes in shed, so that's the thing. You know what we'll do? I'm going to try to get Echo. So Echo is still right in that same spot. Her nose just poked up a little bit where it's off the thing. So I got to get her down and back in her cage. So you might as well see this. She's in food mode right now. So I'm going to take a hook and we're going to try to get her down. Hang on. And Spencer, she might just fall on you. So,
I'll catch her.
All right. So let's see where she's at. Oh, good. She didn't have a food reaction. Sometimes I've put a hook right by her face and she'll bite the hook. All right, so let's go. That's what we're doing now. We'll go like this. She won't actually fall. I was just kidding. The problem is that now, can we get your tail, do you think?
that possible? I mean, is this entertaining, you guys? I assume it is. The possibility that I could get bit. Oh, come on. Oh, that was actually much easier than I expected. She's been up there for this whole live stream. Has anybody? Let me look really quick to see if anybody requested a snake before. People are saying Handsome Dan, Freya. I got to put Handsome Dan back too, so maybe you can see that as well. Why don't you grab the hide so you can see so they can see what Handsome Dan is hiding in. And we'll be right back. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm putting her back. Spencer's coming with Handsome Dan. He's in his little thing.
I don't know if you can see him.
Okay.
He likes it in there.
Yeah, he's a big time hider. So, did you show the basket? Yeah. Yeah, Handsome Dan likes to be in a hide. For sure. So he's going back in his cage. Or rabbit. Dan is getting better or bigger. Tevi. He's starting to eat larger meals. We are on to small rats with him. I went from rat pups. He ate a lot of rat pups before I went to weaned, and then he only had a few weaned until I was like, he's on small rats at this point. So he just went through a growth spurt pretty quick, and he's a big boy. And here's what I like to do. It's okay. We're going to leave him right there.
Oh, perfect.
What I like to do, especially with this, because he loves these hides, is I just put him in his cage with this hide, and he can just have it for a little bit. Because he's the only one that uses these hides. I have two of these. I bought these. These are baskets. They're cloth woven baskets that I cut a little janky hole in the front of, and from Target. I bought them from Target. And here, buddy, look where you are. He's the only one that uses them, so he can have him in his cage or outside his cage, whatever he wants. All right, so he's back. And then, oh my gosh, is my mom still on? I see that Amy's saying hi to my mom. Mom, are you still on? Have you been on during this whole thing? Oh my gosh. Amy's saying, if Bob missed any super chats, tell me now. Here's one that I missed. Let's see. Oh, maybe not. Oh, yeah, no, I got that one. Okay, I think I got them all. Oh, Mom says the Harpers asked for Kata. You want to grab Kata out of the top shelf of that one right there? Kata's in shed, but she's not too deep in it. Mom, thanks for being an advocate for the Harpers.
Big girl.
Yeah, she is big. She was one of the ones, Spencer, that came to me overweight.
Mm-hmm.
And
did she have a clutch?
She did.
Yeah.
It was a problem clutch, though.
That's right. That's right.
So here's Kata. She's doing good. She's a little, a little shy anyway, but she's a little pink, so she's even more shy. But now watch this. I'm gonna put her on your just put her on your shoulders. Just see if she backs up. Do you have any snakes that slither backwards?
Yes.
I don't have any except for Kata. She is a master at slithering backwards, except she's gonna get up on it. She's close to the ladder now. I don't want her getting on there. She's doing good though. She's not trying to back up on you. But Kata is Amy's favorite snake because she seems to be more comfortable
when
There she
Amy
goes.
holds her. Backwards. Yeah, right? She's really good at it. So Kata, other than the shark mouth baby that I'm working with, I have this one that, and I'll tell you guys this. The plan was to keep this one out of that clutch, that problem clutch. We had 2 that turned out normal. And this is a normal, healthy baby that I was going to keep, but I think I've decided that I'm not going to keep her. She's, I will sell her to one of the Patreon supporters. And I haven't told Patreon that yet, but I will. And I guess I'm telling them now.
Yeah, you gotta
That
swoop in before I buy it.
she'll be available. But she is crazy. The reason I was going to keep her is I was like, I'm not quite sure what she is because Kata's not supposed to have Orange Dream, but this is clearly an Orange Dream freeway, spot nose freeway. And might be Enchi also, might be a Mardi Gras.
Is Kid an ivory?
Kata's an ivory, yeah, with possibly GHI. And I don't know if this has GHI. What do you think? I don't think so.
I mean, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. So there's a lot of questions with this one. So I thought, I'm going to keep this one because it's so cool. I mean, look at this tail.
She's rad.
See the pattern on the tail? But when I think about this logically, I have a lot of freeway females. I have a lot of females that are asphalt freeway. And I can't keep them all. So that one will be available. All right, you guys. Spencer, I think we've done it. We're going to end this before we get to the 3-hour mark. This was a long live stream. I'm glad you came down for this.
It was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun to have you in the green room tasting whiskey.
Yeah.
We're going to walk to dinner.
Yep.
We have a 1-block walk.
Perfect.
To go to Morrison's. Yes, Amy, we are going to Morrison's. She just asked. Look at that. That's where we're headed. Because it's the closest one, and I don't want to walk any further than a block. Like why would you? Why would you walk further than a block when you could just eat at Morrison's? You guys, thank you so much for being here. We still have 126 people watching after 3 hours.
Holy
122 now. People have jumped off because they hear me doing my ending speech. But thanks, you guys. I appreciate you. See you next time. Bye.